What's up, everybody? Boy, it's been a while, huh? I was looking back and uh, perusing my past live streams, and it looks like I've only done like 2 of these in the last year. So it's been a while, so I figured I would do one. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everybody. My son has a job now, so he's a courtesy clerk at a grocery store. So he's not working today, or he's working today, so I figured I had a free day of doing absolutely nothing. So here I am. How's everybody doing? So it's been an interesting time at the shop. A lot of things are changing. The way people buy records, the amount of records people buy, all that stuff is changing quite a bit. And I don't know if that's necessarily kept me busy, but it's kept me from making as many videos as I think I would normally have liked to do. So yeah. All right. How's everything coming in? Good? Yeah, good. No sprouts. Big chain. Let's see here. We'll see how long he keeps the job, too. It's his first job. He's 3 weeks in. I have hope that, you got to kind of fight with him a little bit. It's a little bit of a fight to kind of keep him up to snuff, Hey, Mike, you should comb your hair before you go to work. Hey, Mike, maybe put on clean pants. You got a stain on those. Oh, man, 16-year-old boy, very difficult. I feel, though, I was pretty difficult at that age as well. So it's been a couple of interesting weeks. I did the Black Sabbath video. Got a lot of... It's funny. I often think about the reason I started this channel. And one of the reasons I started this channel was there's so many talking heads that would be like, my such and such, let's grab a record. Let's grab a record off the wall. Not the best example. Okay. I don't know if there's ever been a second version of that record, but whatever the case might be, they have a record in it. My version of such and such is the greatest version there is. Okay, well, compared to what? That conversation typically doesn't ever get expanded upon. So I remember thinking to myself, I got so many of these records. I really should make a video talking about the differences I see it. And, I don't really have any, these are my 10 copies of such and such album. I don't really see a reason to... I'm not selling these. I'm not going to change my opinion. That was kind of my thinking. I'm like, I don't really have a horse in this game. I like having all these versions of a record, so I'm going to keep them all. And I'll just go online and talk about what I think. And that's, that got started in 7 years ago now, 2017. But it's interesting because there's always, in people's minds, there's always the record that they favor the most. And people get attached to it. And a lot of times the ones that they're the most attached to and the most partial to are the records that they spent a lot of money on. Not cheap records, expensive records you get attached to. And I think there's an adrenaline rush that comes with playing $500 and $1,000 records. So it's kind of interesting how sometimes I'll make a review video and the review video goes very smoothly because sometimes the known quantities I just put on camera. There's certain records that are really just known to be good, and I kind of elaborate on it a little more, but every now and then I'll come up with something even to my surprises myself, and I'm like, that's interesting. I didn't really think that was going to be the way things went, and pisses a lot of people off. But I think it's funny. I really truly don't mind how many people get pissed off. Volume is too low. Let's see if I can fix that. Too low, too low. Okay. Give me a second. How about now? Better? Is the volume better? How about now, Harry? What are we thinking? I have a slightly new setup here. Let's check something else out. I feel like that should be a lot better. I could turn it up more. You guys let me know. All right. Let me catch up here. All right. There we go. Blake said it best. His $500 ERC is the best version. Yeah, and that's funny because that's really just, that's the MO of, it's just, sometimes that's just not the case. Well, I mean, with the ERC, that's a lot of times not the case, but you know what I mean. Okay. There is no topic today. The topic is I haven't done one of these in so damn long. I just want to get back into the groove of doing it. That was a joke. I'm joking with you, Blake. Come on now. It's been a while since I've done one of these. It's been since, I think I did one in January of 2024. And then I did one going back to August of 2023. That might have been one of the only live streams I did for most of the year of 2023. So really, this is just me getting back into the swing of things. All right. Plus, you know, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I was kind of bored. I knew that I was going to be doing nothing today, which is pretty rare for me because everybody was off doing certain things. Kid was working. So, yeah. But anyways, the Black Sabbath video was kind of unique because the Black Sabbath video was definitely unique because I guess I should have known at the time that the blowback would be fast and furious, just because anytime you shite talk the high dollar pressings, it's an issue. But yeah, that's, I guess it was a little more than I expected. Here's a good question. How often do you upgrade your equipment, and how often should one upgrade? You know, you get to a certain point where, I don't know, you get to a certain point where very little increase happens with each upgrade. I kind of feel like I'm at that point now. There's some things I would like to do. I've got a turntable on the way. I'm doing a Technics SL1000 turntable. I'm going to stick with the stock tone arm for now. I might throw another tone arm on there in the future. I'm not 100% sure. I'll probably talk about that in a future video. I'm thinking of filming another equipment related video, kind of as, you know, of me setting up that particular turntable. So we'll see how that particular video goes. I'm not really sure. But I haven't really felt the need to upgrade things in a while. I mean, there's things that I would like, but as I listen to what I have and I listen to the other stuff, I kind of think to myself, I don't know if the upgrade is worth it. You know, you got to get to a point where you spend an exorbitant amount of money just to get a couple, you know, maybe a percentage point or two of perceivable upgrade. Oh my God, $4.99. Let's show that question. Mike, if it was up to you, would you have liked more bass on the Black Sabbath? I don't know. I don't think so, because I never really thought to myself, man, I wish there was more bass on this. I remember talking to Kevin and him talking about how I feel like don't quote me on this, because I've had a lot of conversations about Black Sabbath, and I did talk to Kevin about it. And I feel like I had a conversation with him where he mentioned that the bass was an issue with the tape. I think he kind of, per the conversation I had, memory-wise anyways, my brain is telling me that our conversation, he told me there wasn't enough bass and there was a lot on the top end. So yeah. No, I don't find myself. I was pretty happy with the results. The thing is, too, I kind of went into it knowing that like this is not a really good recording. I don't think it was ever intended to be a good recording. It was done, I think, in like 2 days. It's like a 12 or 13 hour, recording session for an album. It was not. It's definitely not even remotely close to a good recording. It's at the. It's kind of like. I always think about records like Jefferson Airplane, Surrealistic Pillow. Really not a great recording. Really fantastic record, but not a great recording. And I don't know if I wonder if these bands, I'm probably guessing at the time, they never thought there was ever going to be any staying power. I mean, it was the first record. They probably, shoestring budget. They do these records. They see, throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I don't think anybody went into that thinking it would be what it is 56, decades and decades later. It would be the album that it is today. So, yeah. I'm getting, I'm getting the SLR. So they make a drop-in version of that. What is that? The SP10, and I'm doing the 1000, which is going to have the Technics bass and the Technics magnesium tone arm. So that's the version of the table I'm getting. I'm looking at having a special arm. They have some pre-drilled arm boards you can get. Unfortunately, half of those are for tone arms that don't really exist anymore. So they sell blanks. I'm essentially looking at having an arm board drilled for a possible Kuzma tone arm. I might do that. I'm going to play around with what I got, though, coming when it comes. Problem is that table in general is built to order. So, God, I was supposed to have it in I think I was supposed to have it about a month and a half ago. But yeah. It's been a while. It's been a slog getting it here. Okay. What do you mean? I'm not familiar with that, so you have to elaborate on it. I don't necessarily think there's a specific. I actually think overproduction is the most problematic issue with modern recordings. Things are very, very heavily produced. And a lot of that is because of Pro Tools. You can go back and you can just go on and on and on and record with tape, you're kind of limited. You can only punch in and out so many times, run that tape back and forth. A, it's a lot more difficult, but B, you gotta snap a tape if you did it for 1,000 takes, So that's a good question because I have talked about it a lot of time. Another video that gave me a lot of heartburn. There is a few things I would slab. I would never slab anything that I had to listen to. I would never slab. I don't even know if I would slab anything that's open. I don't think there's any record I would open or that I have that's open that I would slab. But if we came to a point where I felt comfortable with the grading companies, which I don't really, I'm not in a position now where I think I'm on board with any particular company doing grading. But if I got to a point where I was comfortable with the grading company, I was comfortable with the people behind it. And there are records that I would slab. And I have a couple that come to mind. I've got a sealed Wish You Were Here, first U.S. pressing. Like, what am I going to do with that? I'm never, ever, ever going to open that record. So it would be cool. I wouldn't mind slabbing something like that. So there are records I would slab. Thank you. 411 Engraving, who actually, and I haven't forgot it, I've got it sitting in my room years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago at this point, sent me an in-groove custom engraved record weight. Wondering if you think the metalwork is the same as the classic single-sided 45. I think, God, so going from memory, I had a conversation about this with Chad. I want to say I'm pretty sure some of the Crosby, Stills stuff was recut. And I think that was really because Chad felt it could be better. He was going for a sound that, I don't remember which album specifically. I don't know if it was the Couch album. I don't know. Maybe it was Deja Vu. I'm not 100% sure. But I remember talking to him about wanting to have some stuff recut. I think we would know if it was the Couch album at this point in time. I haven't looked into to it. I feel like the Couch album uses the classic metal. Maybe it was Deja Vu he felt could be bettered. So if it hasn't been recut, there's a good possibility that the Deja Vu will be recut. I wish I actually had a sidekick here at the moment. I thought about maybe I should invite a few people onto the stream in chat. That might be a little bit better. Maybe I'll do that in the future. But no, it is a little bit, especially if the questions don't come in. Like I remember at the beginning of this video, I'm sitting here and there's like maybe like a 2-minute spot where no questions are coming in. I'm like, oh no. Grab my water. Like this is going to be a long stream. So yeah. Who are you using to slab at the moment? Who do you feel? Like, I have a favorite of what's out there, but I'm not sold completely on it. All right. I'm not going to really have an opinion on that. I'm not one of the YouTubers that tend to ever get free records. Every now and then, if I ask for it, but I generally don't, MoFi will send me something if I ask them for it. I don't think anybody else sends me free records, so I know a lot of people say they like that, but like there's no chance I would ever. I'm not going to pay whatever $1,300-$1,400. I hate freaking box sets. I hate the space they take up, but I'm not spending $1,300-$1,400 on mind games. I understand it's a piece of art. I'd rather throw $1,300 bills on the wall with stick 'em. I don't know, the ginormous box sets. They're cool. If somebody sent me one, I would probably open it up, talk about it. But personally, for me, $1,300 is not. No, Harry had to do it. You're nuts, Harry. To be honest, when I looked at the contents of that versus the George Harrison Uber box, I kind of thought the George Harrison was cooler. If I could see myself wanting a ginormous, huge box set, that would be kind of the cooler one for me because it has the garden gnomes in it, and I kind of thought that was cooler. You got the vinyl, you got all the tchotchkes, but you actually had usable tchotchkes. I could see setting the garden gnomes up on the fireplace. So, next to the kitty litter. I don't know if I've ever showed the kitty litter on. I don't know if I ever showed the kitty litter on my system tour. I have a fireplace that's got kitty litter in bags to help with the sound, piled to the top. But it might look nice sitting in front of the kitty litter. I do not have a clue, Jack. I don't have a clue. Let's see. Yeah, I felt that was the case. I want to say we talked about it, and I want to say he felt Deja Vu could be better. And the Deja Vu was the one he recut. I'm almost positive. I'm about 95% positive he recut one of them, and I felt like it was the Deja Vu. So, yeah. No, I finally got... I think I went through 3 or 4 of them because the first 2 or 3... I started to work on that shootout during COVID, and I think during the lockdown I was buying copies of that, but I think DHL was switching to some sort of conveyor belt processing. Maybe that was outside in the sun, because I want to say I bought 2 or 3 of them, and they weren't warped. They were just full-blown ripple, unusable, melted, but they all came from Europe at the time. And I think I was paying $500-$600 for them. And subsequently, I think they're probably worth 3 times the price now. I finally ended up getting one, but it was like there was a couple month period where I was getting things from DHL, like at the beginning of 2020, and they were just coming. I've never gotten records, not warped, again, just full blown melted. So it was weird, but I finally ended up getting one. I did a shootout video of it years ago, and I show it in that video. a lot of the pressings are label variations. I've got 2 different pressings, UK verticals, but they both use the same metalwork. So I try not to talk about, when it comes to like audio shootouts, I really try not to differentiate first and second, third and fourth, unless there's a sonic characteristic. You know, those videos are more about the sonics of a record and not necessarily the collectability. You know, a Phillips credit on one label versus the second pressing with no Phillips credit. Yeah, the Phillips credit doesn't give you any sonic, you know, there's no sonic edge to it. Oh, so bad. You know, I felt so bad. I sent a video to the guy too, and I put it on, I think I had a Technics 1200 that I was using at the time to just test flat, you know, warped records. And I sent him a video because he didn't believe me. And it was a big freaking ordeal too. Because PayPal, I opened up a dispute with PayPal. I remember what happened now. One guy was like super sorry, gave me my money back. The second guy fought me on it, and PayPal's like, we're going to need you to go to an independent expert. And I mean, again, this record was like, there was a 4-inch wave to it. I mean, it was nuts. It was the equivalent of, you know, the chip balls. And they're like, you're going to have to go to an independent expert who's credentialed in this particular item, and we're going to need on letterhead that this is not usable. I'm like, you know, it's a record. They're supposed to be flat. I'm like, do you have a concept of a record? They're like, well, we're still going to need that, because I sent them the video of it doing this. So long story short, I'm buddies with Perry Cox, who's written legendary Beatles, I don't even want to say collector, but he's more of an expert seller of rare Beatles stuff, written 7 or 8 books. Anyways, I said, hey, Perry, would you write a letter explain to PayPal that records aren't supposed to look like this? And he did it for me, and I sent that off to him, and I ended up winning that dispute. But that was a nightmare. I can't believe I got put into that situation. Like, I really feel like, I don't know what the deal was, but they really must have had somebody that had absolutely no common sense looking at it. I found a scan of the letter from Perry stating that, you know, this record was, the record that he was examining wasn't the record that was described, and this isn't usable. Yeah. That was a fun time. It was like Pawn Stars. I know a guy. The only difference was the guy wasn't waiting in the back. But, yeah, Perry's a trip. Some of the stuff I've seen, oh, man. So many museum pieces that you never find anywhere but in a museum. Not even a museum, because there is no museum of rare records. But, yeah, some of the stuff he's had has been unbelievable. Wrong. You sold Perry a set of Badfinger autographs. All right. But, you know, I don't have a problem with DHL. I've never had that So, in the United States, DHL is not very common. Nobody's really getting shit. Nobody's shipping stuff to and from in the United States via DHL. But internationally, you a lot of times will get stuff in from DHL. We started doing international shipping now. We have this third-party service that does, I talked about it on the live streams, or the new arrival videos, and it kind of handles all the brokerage, everything internally, brokerage, the destination countries, customs, tax fees, all that. But because of that, I've started shipping out a massive quantity of stuff DHL, and I've never, ever, ever had a problem since. I wish I could dial down onto what the hell was going on. I mean, it was COVID era, you know, but I wish I could dial on into what was going on in the beginning of 2020, to where things were absolutely destroyed. The only thing I could think of is maybe they were processing things outside. There was a significant amount of stuff being processed outside. That's all I could think about. So, yeah. Let's see. It's a good question from Leland. So I saw that kind of maybe last year. The people that kind of there was a lot of people that started collecting records during the beginning of COVID. And I want to say about last year, that's when those people started dropping off. And it wasn't a huge amount of people. It was probably a decent amount, but it wasn't, 40, 50, it wasn't huge, 50, 60, 70% or anything like that. But I noticed it because people were coming to me with collections. And, I call them COVID era records. And I wish this was a term that could catch on a little bit more so people knew more of what I was talking about. I didn't have to explain. There was an era of COVID records, and essentially COVID era records are records that were printed to oblivion. They just made way too many of them. And a lot of that was actually out of necessity, the reason they made so many. The way it was working back then is the plants got to the point where they were 12 to 18 months behind. If you were Universal and you went to press a Blue Note Classic title and you were pressing it for manufacture, you had to essentially order what you thought you were going to sell over the course of 18 months because it was like a minimum at one point, 18 months to get things back onto the press. So you had labels. It wasn't just the majors. I think audiophile labels were doing it too. They were pressing, of course, their stuff was a little less susceptible to the drop, but it affected more of the majors and the lower quality, like more, more run-of-the-mill type of pressings, just listening copies, that mid-tier stuff. But it affected Blue Note Tone Poets, Blue Note Classic records, Classic Series records. There was just a point where they were making these things in such huge quantities, and they were doing it to where, they're booking pressing time 3 to maybe 6 months in advance. But then when it stopped and everything just kind of went, not back pre-COVID, but went to a little bit more normalcy, then there was this huge quantity of records that were on the market and it was really stuff that was focused in on COVID era, the stuff from that era, from 2020 to like 2023. I think that if I was to define the COVID era, it'd be 2020 to 2023. There's just a huge glut of that stuff on the market. And the problem was when people were coming in and selling off these collections, they were selling off these COVID era records. And it's like, Ornette Coleman Blue Note Tone Poet box sets, Tool Fear Inoculum box sets, the Blue Note Classics that, were affected by that, stuff like Lee Morgan's Carumba. It's like, I got 400 of these things in my warehouse, man. I really don't want any of these. And I think a lot of people maybe even thought of it as like a lowball tactic. And it's like, no, I really don't want to buy these records. Like, I have 400 of them in the back. I have them on the website for half off. I have too many. I can't sell them at a loss to where I'm losing money. I don't want to buy yours because they're used. I have to sell them, so there was like that was going on. And man, that was a little crazy there for a while. I remember having that conversation, and a lot of people are like, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but man, it's going away and things are starting to get absorbed into the marketplace because new people are still coming in. And, there are new people that miss those records and then they're seeing them half off. So things are kind of getting gobbled up. But yeah, that was crazy there for probably the last year. I'm noticing more and more it's starting to slow down. Let's see. What's up, Chris? Mike. Chris, Mike. Mike, Chris. Let's see. It's a buyer's market for a lot of like the 2020 to 2023 collectibles. It truly is. Let's see. So I think, like I said, I started talking about the sales section on the website. That, we have a sales section on the website. I started talking about that a little bit more in the new arrival videos, and that have kind of they're starting to pick up. I'm starting to sell some of those things to where a few of them are about to like sell out, and I can go back to having it as a normal piece of inventory. But that's kind of more of a current thing. And I think, again, it's to do with we're getting farther away from that COVID era. the COVID era records, and there's more people coming into the market, and they're picking up a good collection on the cheap, you know. But yeah, there was a point in time where, God, who was it? Universal had a sale where they were literally giving you records, and it wasn't like they had junk. They had that some. It was the stuff they were overstocked on. It was like Rush, Moving Pictures. There was like Tom Petty's, a couple Tom Petty albums. There was some Tone Poets on there, and they were literally free. You had to pay shipping. The shipping was egregious. It was like $6 a record. So you bought 20 records, and it was $120 for shipping, and they sent it to you media mail for like $8. So that's how they were making their money. But still, you bought 20 Tone Poets for $120. Now that's kind of, like I said, I think they blew those out. I watched part of, I think both of them. I don't remember anything standing out. Yeah. That's one of my favorite questions, actually, of the live stream. I think dainty speakers end in the 20 hertz range. Does that make sense? I think in order to classify as a speaker that's not of the dainty type, I think you have to get down into the 20 hertz range. I think you got to get I think that's it. I think 20 hertz. Where do your speakers go, Mr. Masloff? How low do they go? How low do they go? Let's see. I feel like, yeah. All right. I don't know. I'm trying to make my way over, to be honest, to see David Gilmour at the Hollywood Bowl. I've not heard them. I like Klipsch speakers. I'm actually a Klipsch dealer. I don't floor them because they're ginormous. You know, and a big pair of La Scalas would take up too much space. But I've always liked Klipsch speakers. I like horn speakers. It's a unique sound. Definitely suited for a classical or jazz listener. Not something I'd recommend if you were, into like Daft Punk. If you were an electronic listener. But yeah. Okay. I started collecting at about 9 years old because my father handed me his box of old records because he found them useless because he had bought a CD player. So this would have been like the very early 90s. I opened the store 9 years ago. Yeah, I went and made a couple of comments in the Rhino Hi-Fi thread. Talking about this. I wasn't really actively following the thread, but I was doing a live stream and I talked to Masloff and he kind of told me how he was kicked out of the thread and kind of what was being said. I'm like, all right, let's go see what's going on. I try not to get on him too much because, yeah, there's some people on there that are just, oh, God. I'd love to have a conversation with them in real life. I would imagine they would be less of a, less toolish, if you catch my drift. But behind a keyboard, anonymous, behind a computer screen, just some of the stuff they say, wankers would be a good word, but some of the stuff they say is quite awful. What are you doing today, Masloff? Nice Father's Day for you, or you got events going on? I'm not calling out anybody's names, so I would never do that, but you know what I mean? There are people that are just notoriously, wankers. But, yeah. But, I'm watching you. The Sabbath video was, Mazzy, we got to get you up on one of these live streams because I don't really want to be doing these by myself anymore. I'm going to start doing these with people. All right. I think it's been going good overall. You know, I think everything has kind of slowed a little bit. But I think for a boutique jazz label from a modern artist, I think it's been doing pretty good. And it's consistent. I would say that Anthony Wilson has actually been a pretty solid, consistent title. Let's see. I don't have any nicknames for anybody. No nicknames. All right. I don't think I have a complete run, but I definitely have a very high percentage of at least the Blue Note catalog and probably the Impulse catalog as well. I think so. Did you get the... I thought you weren't going to buy this thing. I thought you told me you weren't going to buy it. You weren't going to... I thought I saw on a video that you weren't going to... Masloff, did you get a free Mind Games box set? Can you put me in contact with the Gravy Train, please? I have a YouTube channel. Have the Gravy Train stop by over here in Arizona for me. I would really... It's a shame that so many of these guys that are on YouTube... I wish one guy... One of these other YouTubers or audiophile. Mike Johnson used to live here. Poetry on Plastic. I would have loved to hear somebody else, another reviewer's opinion, listening to it on my system. I'm just curious of what the result would have been. I feel like it would have been exactly the same. But, yeah. Not the massive box. All right. No Uber box. What is it? Uber? The Uber equivalent for Mind Games. Although I will say, I think the Mind Games box, I talked a little bit about it earlier, I think the Mind Games box would look better on the shelf than the George Harrison box. I think cosmetically it looks a little bit more attractive. I had somebody in the back of the shop yesterday on our receiving table. And our receiving table, underneath it is all of the active damage stuff we're dealing with. In the process of trying to get things credited back, returned. And it is, the packing tables are, what are they? They're 8 by 3.5 foot times 2. So I've got, how many, 16 by 3.5 foot packing table. And underneath it are all damaged records, stacked high. It's an unimaginable amount of crap that comes in damaged. It's yeah. It was bad. It's bad. It's just bad. And I made a video on it to try to, I did that maybe 6 months, a year ago. That'd be a good video. But see, it wouldn't work though, because if I flew you in, you gave a listen, immediately people are like, well, he was flown in. Of course he's going to have... He was a free plane ticket. Of course he's going to have the same opinion. So, yes. Yeah, unfortunately, they are aplenty. And I want to say maybe about once a month, I have to have a conversation with somebody, because somebody will come into the store and, and I wonder how many people actually think this but don't say something, but they'll hold something in their hand like a Blue Note tone poet of, say, like Blue Train. And then we've got like Half Price Books. It's like a bookstore that happens to sell records, but here in town, I want to say Half Price Books. It's been a couple years since I've been there, but they've got like endless amounts of Dole and Waxtime pressings. It's, they're $14.99, and people about once a month, somebody will hold this up and be like, why are you so much more expensive than I saw this record over there at, such and such, half price or whatever. There's multiple stores in town that sell this crap. Then you got to have a conversation with them. But the problem is, having that conversation with somebody who's just brand new to vinyl doesn't work. You cannot do that. Like, that conversation's people who are not in a hi-fi at all, just getting into records. It's like you're speaking in a foreign language to them. And if I had maybe the equivalent, I could be like, hey, listen to this and now listen to this. That would do a little bit more. But yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, the quantity of that crap. And it's getting significantly worse because as the years go on, the ability for them to expand what they offer on the gray market is ever increasing. So yeah. There's very little distribution out there. Some labels do it themselves. You have the option of doing it directly with the label sometimes. You have the option of doing it with a distributor. They all have issues, every one of them. Sometimes, though, with some of the audiophile labels, I'll go years without even having one record damaged. But when it comes to your normal distribution for just standard records, Billie Eilish records, that type of stuff, the level of packing dramatically dwindles. The quality of the shipping goes down substantially. I do not. All right, let's see. It is hot today. I think I looked outside and it was 111. It's, yeah. But, you know, people are like, how do you stand it? How do you, like, we don't go outside. Like, I got auto start on my truck, so I'll start it and then I just have to walk 10 feet to get in it. So it's not that big a deal. So I think I did a video specifically about Music Matters records. I think the title of the video was Music Matters, the best worst label of all time, or maybe the worst label of all time, ? Watch that video. I talk about Wax and Dole pretty extensively, but there is the long and the short of it there. Okay. Let's see here. I don't know how long I'm going to do this live stream for. At 120, I think. The problem is 120 in the shade, you could probably get away with flattening your own records. 120 in the sun, you're going to melt your records in about 3 minutes. Dave, you're a strange individual. I don't know you personally, but your comments are very strange. I'm assuming you're probably a strange individual. I don't know, though. I'm not sure. So, one thing I will talk about. Let me grab something. I did a video talking about this and my displeasure for it. So I've been doing a little bit digging with industry insiders. And eco vinyl, I'll elaborate a little bit more on eco vinyl and what I found out. Eco vinyl is not necessarily just recycled vinyl, which would be vinyl, but just like a lower, noisier vinyl. Eco vinyl is, I guess, a formulation of vinyl that is a little bit more friendly. But from the folks I have talked to in the vinyl making and, you know, people who are in the know as far as pressing, manufacturing, all the tail end, back end of vinyl making is eco vinyl cannot be mastered in the same way as a traditional record. Eco vinyl has a couple of mastering specific requirements. Some of those eco mastering requirements are lower volume, more compression, a narrower stereo image. So I kind of, when I heard that, I'm like, well, you know, that all made sense. A lot of that was actually a result of me filming that video and people reaching out to me and like, Mike, let me tell you about eco vinyl, and then getting a little bit more backstory with it. But holy cow, something that I can't speak more negatively about. And I feel like I'm going to have to, I feel like that one video isn't going to be the end. I want to talk about this more. I want people to not even, eco vinyl should not be embraced because A, it sounds like crap, it's noisy. But manufacturing a product that requires a narrower stereo image, more compression, and the record to be cut at a lower volume is the worst set of manufacturing circumstances you could ever come up with for vinyl. Noisy vinyl and those three other parameters. Like, what in the world are they thinking? Horrible. Horrible, horrible. All right. But you're seeing it more and more. I think that was a pretty big release, so I guess that's why it caught my attention a little bit quicker than some of these others have. But I have been seeing more and more eco vinyl, but man, horribly atrocious. Okay. What do I got? Do I got one behind my back? I got some Smashing Pumpkins there, yeah. It's so bad, and I like Billy as an artist, although I like it less than I once did. But I haven't put this on my shelf yet because I'm just going to take it to the store. I'm going to sell it. I'm not even going to own this record on vinyl. It is so atrocious. I will never listen to it again. And if I go on my shelf and I continually see it, I'm just going to get angry. So I don't need any heartburn-inducing vinyl on my shelf. So I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to do a video specifically about Rhino here coming up soon, a little bit more in depth. So I'll talk about that then. All right. Let's see. What's up, Rob? You know, the drama, you know, it entertains me. It's definitely entertaining. Let's see. The Devo does sound good. I agree with you, Alan. It does sound fantastic, but I haven't really compared it against other things. So it sounds fantastic in the bubble of itself. The problem is, and this is a problem, but people in the know with this kind of stuff, they just keep their mouths shut for liability reasons or to keep cool within the industry. So there's, you know, a lot of people aren't going to come out and say anything because they're not really involved in it. Maybe they know about it, but they're not really going to mention it. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of that goes on. I remember during everything related to MoFi, you know, there people started popping out of the woodwork and be like, oh yeah, you know, I knew about that, but you know, it wasn't my place to say anything. So you guys probably, I don't want to elaborate on who those people were, or but there was multiple people that kind of came out and said, I knew things, but I didn't elaborate on any of those things, so they just kept their mouths shut. But if you listen to the record, man, you don't even have to take my word for it. Your ears will tell you what I'm telling you is accurate. It's so damn bad. It's just so bad. Mr. Masloff needs to go out and get a copy of it so he can listen to how awful it is. But people really need to. I really feel like this is a crusade that people should go on. I'm going to go on it, but because I'm hearing talks in the industry for labels that I love, records that I love, to where maybe like more eco-conscious, eco-conscious artists are like, they're starting to look at this, and it's picking up. It's picking up a lot of steam, and you're going to see a lot more of it, because the pitch to the artist is the environment, your image, everything looks better for you, do this. And I don't know if there's that much thought put behind, well, the artist saying, okay, well, this is what your record's going to sound like. So, man, I really, I would never, now knowing what I know, if I saw, I don't care what it is, if I saw eco vinyl on it, it's just like, there's no way. It is absolutely unlistenable. You know what I mean? No word on if that's all analog or not. So no word leads me to believe no. There are another jazz artist, met him at Expona, Jerome Sabbath. I can't pronounce the guy's last name. I'm normally so good with this kind of stuff, but God, he's got his own label, and I think it was all recorded analog, might be directly recorded analog, mastered by Bernie Grunman. That's a great sounding record. And when I talked to him at Expona, he kind of indicated to me that that's kind of, he's planning on doing not only more titles himself like that, but getting other East Coast musicians on board and record in the same fashion. So it sounds like this is going to be, become more prevalent. Let's see. The analog doesn't always spell, better sounding. It really truly doesn't. No. But that would be one way of doing it. But I really want to hear other people's reaction on my system, more so than my records. There we go. Tone Factory. I've got that first record in stock on the website. It's quite good, but it's definitely like a boutique kind of thing. Recording some. I think the Red Hot Chili Peppers' last record was all analog, recorded analog. So it happens, but it's few and far between. In between. Okay, so let's see. We're going to do a blind test. I got to provide airfare, steak dinner, a night's lodging. I might do that, actually. I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. We'll get Mr. Masloff here. Maybe I can... His dream is to be, a sidekick, or maybe just take over my new arrival video. I'm not 100% sure, but that might be interesting. I don't know. There we go. There's another one. As you can see, there are others that are out there, but they're so few and far between that, you know what I mean? Yeah, that would, to be honest, if I could arrange that, you wouldn't be getting no airfare. You wouldn't be getting no steak. You'd be buying me a steak, your own lodging, your own airfare. But that's not something I could swing. But I think it'd be worth your own airfare at that point. Especially because George just has the propensity to, like, the longer you hang out with him, he has the propensity to, like, talk and sing and like scat and then like listen to his own music and then sing over his own music. So they're kind of like, it's a combination of like meet and greet and personal concert all in one. Let's see. Mr. Masloff, why don't you, I'm going to drop you a link. Why don't you come up on the stream? Let me grab my headphones. Come on, I know you're bored. Do. He just got out of the shower. That's my shtick. Getting out of the, actually, but see, normally during the live streams in the morning, I'm not in the shower, I'm in the hot tub. Hold on a second, Mr. Masloff. I don't actually have a way to hear you yet. I'm trying to get my AirPods in. Very impromptu. Where the F is the sound on this thing? I'm sorry, they connected to my, turn my phone off. Damn thing's connected to my phone. I'm very technologically savvy here. Come on, AirPods. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here trying to peel away. I see you have 50,000 subscribers. I need about 15 more to kind of get even with you. So some of you viewers
I'm
out there,
hoping I can actually take some of yours.
subscribe. I need 4 more to hit 35,000. So people who don't know me, just click through. I'm a shill. We're both shills. No. You got a sense of
4 more. What does that bring you to?
35,000. But then you always lose a few. You know, you get Dave the pickup artist in here, and you lose 20, and then he, comes up with like 10 of his phony troll accounts. So
some of his questions are actually legitimate, and some of them are just really out in left field. So they definitely
some are like a Tourette's patient. Exactly.
Yeah, Tourette's comments. They really throw me off personally because I really don't. I have to reread them a couple of times because I'm not really sure if there's a twist to those comments.
So okay, so let's talk about music. I don't want to talk about drama shit.
Yeah.
I don't think you and I obviously have different systems, and Mike and I think have a good rapport, and we tease each other. He talks. He's seen pictures of my speakers. I have puny speakers or dainty speakers.
Dainty, not puny.
They're Bowers and Wilkins 702 S3s or S2s, whatever. They're not. They're a standard floor standard, so they're certainly not dainty. I mean, I have dainty ones here are like my these are my this is my office downstairs now, my second system. These are dainty, but compared to a lot of people, I mean, yours are like robotic, over the top, crazy mothers. Those Wilsons, nice, they look like, I don't even know. Those look like they're going to kill you in the middle of the night. Those speakers.
It's quite possible that AI could somehow infest my speakers and kill me. Hey, so I looked up the specs on your speakers. And unfortunately, they only go to 52 hertz. So you're 23 hertz away from the dainty zone.
Okay. Well, but I have a Hagel H390 pushing them, which is a nice,
very nice amp.
Yeah, it's a very good amp. And I don't have a treated room. I like to play music where I live. I know my compromises. I don't consider myself that sort of audiophile, but I know you're not a Riga guy. I got a Riga P8 I upgraded recently to a Hana Umami Blue, which is a nice MC card. So I have a respectable system. So, but when we listened to those, I finally did borrow from someone the UK Vertigo first press or second press, an early press, the NEMS, and along with my and the OG Artisan Warner Brothers. That was my first choice, the Warner Brothers. And you gave the Rhino, but I gave the Rhino a close second. But we had everyone here, and especially on that first track on side 2, that's only on the American one. The bottom really hit deeper, at least on my system, on the Artisan Warner Brothers over the Rhino, but not by a lot. But we could definitely tell. But I tell you, I know you and I disagree on this. I thought the Vertigo was way too bright. And you said the opposite, I think.
I said the opposite. I talked to Kevin, and I don't know if the word he used was bright, but I think he used mushy to define the top end. I mean, it just was definitely not bright. I would never say it was bright. I would also say that I wonder if the difference between the Artisan versus my Rhino Hi-Fi copy is the difference between a ridiculously expensive system and like a more mid-fi type system. That is a possibility. I feel like it is quite possible that if I took it to one of the smaller systems at the store and listened to it, I think they're so close. I could see the Artisan maybe shining a little bit more on a more mid-fi system.
And I also thought the Warner Brothers and Rhino had more. And again, I don't do audio file lingo. It had more soundscape. It was wider than the UK for some reason.
Oh yeah,
but they are different tapes. We got to admit they're different they're different tapes. So
the Rhino Hi-Fi and definitely the Artisan are much wider stereo stage. But I will say this too: you focus the seem like a lot more on side 2 because of the track variation.
Yeah,
I actually focused a little bit more on side 1 because I didn't want to have to work around the track variations.
Got it. Also, side 2, it sounded better, had more deeper bass and mid range than side 1, just in general on all the copies. I thought side 2 is a better sounding side. I mean, better subjective. I know, the great songs, and you hear the storm at the beginning and the.
Now, what about the tambourine? Did you notice much difference? Because I got to say, at the system at the house on the Wilsons, the tambourine was it was so. Listening to the tambourine kind of reminded me of the Will Ferrell SNL skit, as opposed to listening to it on a system at the store where it kind of blended in a little more.
I don't remember, to be honest.
You didn't really notice, like the tambourine on the Wilsons was so in front of the music, and you could just hear the tambourine being played. It was really weird. Not something, and I didn't mention it in the review, but it was not something that I really ever noticed on that particular record. There's that little tambourine being played in the back.
I just lowered my microphone a little bit. Is that okay?
Yeah.
No, Jose Marino says my mic was too hot. I just lowered it. I hope it's better. I do have a booming voice. I do speak loud.
Is that what it is?
A combination, probably. See, that's what I could come in and do. Hey, groovy guys, groovy heroes, this is the new releases at the In Groove tomorrow. And I'm not going to go like this and hold the thing down and cover the naked bits. I'm going to go like this so people actually see the cover. You don't do that. So I'm going to just jump in there like that.
Well, that's because of my new camera. My new camera doesn't, I've turned the autofocus off.
Right.
So it's got a fixed focal point.
Can you see, or are you just looking at the lens? Can you see a screen?
Yeah, like a 2x2 tiny little screen.
Not like an iPhone.
It's about a third of the size.
Yeah, because
I'm standing about 7 feet away from it, so I've got decent vision, but it's still a little bit of an issue. I'm not being able to see much.
I understood. Okay.
But if you go back 2.5 years and you look at some of my old videos, I did get right up on the camera. But that was the difference between a camera with autofocus and me having to have a manual.
I'm not really here to critique you because you're doing a fabulous job. You're one of the handful of videos every single week I watch because You know, I can't believe no one else really does it that way. There are other stores that show things, but like clockwork, 6 a.m. my time, you
Well,
see
don't
the
give them
new thing.
ideas.
No, well, I've said this before. I mean, it's not rocket science, no offense. But
Well, I
and
know, but still.
but even during the pandemic, I'm in Seattle, and there's a lot of great record stores here in Seattle. But the only two stores I ordered from in the pandemic was In Groove and High Voltage in Tacoma. Everyone else that I know, all the record stores had shit show inner user face to buy things online. Easy Street, a record store I love here, terrible online to order. I mean, you can order things, but if you search a title, it gives you the entire database of what's in print, not what they have in stock. So,
Oh, I wonder if they have. There's that company that essentially makes those cookie cutter websites for
yes,
everybody.
it's probably that. Yeah.
I feel like that's what it is.
I haven't looked lately, so maybe they're better now. But during the pandemic is when, I'd order online like almost every week.
God, and it's so bizarre because I remember like it was yesterday coming up with the idea. I was coming back from the movie theater with Angel, and I didn't even I had no intention of doing a website. I didn't even want a website. But I just remember the way I used to order. Every time we'd sell a record, I'd write it down on a notepad. That's how I kept inventory. And at the end of the week, I'd have to go on the notepad and be like, oh, I need a Dark Side of the Moon. And then I'd look it up and order it. I mean, it was very 1972. So I remember just having a conversation. Like, I can't do it anymore. We're selling too many records. Things are getting missed, never getting ordered again. Where things would just drop out of the inventory completely because if I forgot to write down a copy of The Wall, it never got ordered and it was never in the store again. I'm like, we got to modernize this a little bit. And it was just out of pure fluke that I said, let's just put everything in a system. We spent 6-7 months doing it over the course of a summer. And because we did it, I'm like, well, I guess we could put it online. But I remember in the beginning, like 2000, maybe 17, when the website went live, I maybe went 3 or 4 months before we got an order on the website. It was such an afterthought. And for a couple of years, I mean, maybe every couple of weeks we'd get an online order, but it was nothing that I ever anticipated ever doing.
Well, what's smart too is I remember at first when stores were doing it, the worst thing is, I mean, it's dangerous using Instagram and using your phone to be able to order things so easily. But remember when you had to pick it up, you got to find your wallet, try to type in your credit card, your
Yes.
doing the Shopify and the PayPal. It's almost, 1 or 2 or 3 steps at the most. It's so great.
Well, Shopify now has it down to the one step, or the one click checkout, they call it.
It's great. I mean, it's dangerous for buyers, but it just makes it easy. So it's 6 a.m, you see what's going on. That's the reason I got, there was a thread a while back. We were talking about records you bought, and I didn't buy it to flip, but I ended up selling it 4 months later. I always recommend to people, if, especially during the pandemic when everyone was jumping on, whether it's a MoFi or a Chat or whatever, this thing, they drop it and it sells out right away, is go on Instagram. Even if there's some old fart that says, I don't use Instagram, go on it anyway. And you don't have to do content, and follow every artist, every label, every store. And I woke up one morning really early, like 5 something, and I was subscribed to the Third Man, and they showed that McCartney 333 copies of McCartney 2. They only, and it was $60, and I bought it. It sold out in 3 minutes or less. I kept it, and eventually I sold it for $2,600. I just figured, do I really need it? I have like multiple copies of that. It was recycled. It was limited. It was really cool. And as a Beatle collector, I kind of needed it. But now I just figured I don't really need it if someone wants to spend that much.
And I want to say in the beginning, what did the first couple copies go for? $5-6 grand?
I think a few went up to about 4 or 5. Yeah.
They were pretty nuts in the beginning. I remember thinking to myself,
think about it, the entire world, 333 copies. So it's, and there were so many variants of that, but not that recycled, that actually used recycled versions of McCartney 1 and 2. So,
it's 333 of an artist from the most collectible band of all time.
Yeah.
So that just had future collectible written all over it.
Yeah. And I
didn't get that version. I got the 3,333.
Yeah. I don't buy them too flip, but I just after a few months, like I have like what 6 colored variations or whatever of that silly record, because it's a Beatle. That's the only reason. I've been collecting since I was a kid, Beatle stuff. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it gets to the point where you think to yourself, I could do something else with that 26 hundo.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I bought, and this was, yeah, I bought a ton of whatever. I mean, you know, I
You
buy
bought
a
a
lot.
bunch of records from the In-Groove?
I did. I
2600.
no, not all from you, but
Oh, this is horrible.
it's okay. It's all right.
So
If I was in Phoenix, you'd be my probably go-to, I guess.
I know, the weather's great out here. I'm really confused why you would choose Seattle. Have you ever thought about making a late life change?
I'm not anything beyond 80 degrees. Forget it. Forget it.
Oh, I mean, it's 80 degrees
No,
8 months of the year here.
That's the kind of people. You play golf, you go out there, you do nothing, you sit around, and it's for old retired people. I like to go out. I go out to music venues. I go to the bars. I go to restaurants. I mean, Seattle, it's not raining all the time. Yeah, it gets dark and rainy, but I like the West Coast anyway. I'm a West Coast kid. So, yeah, I don't like that dry heat. I don't like it. I don't like it.
But
it's
it
not
seems
for
like
me.
Okay, I figured I'd ask because most of the West Coasters seem to be moving here.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's cheaper. Definitely. I could probably
not much anymore.
Well, it's still, yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty ridiculous. I think the average home price here is probably 2.5 times of what it was 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I've had my house for 10 years now, and it's doubled in value in 10 years.
See, Alan here moved from the San Francisco area to Phoenix. Yeah, there you go. San Francisco. Actually, a customer of mine. And a big fan of yours, by the way.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. Yeah.
Alan always comes in and tells me about your latest videos. So in case the YouTube feed doesn't actually show me your videos, Alan makes sure he comes in and tells me about them.
All my friends don't watch my thing. My son doesn't watch. Did you see? Oh, I got to show you this. You haven't seen my Instagram. My son made me this for, he's an illustrator, and he made me this it's on Instagram, but for, you can't probably see it here, but let me read it. He does, earthy nose, chocolate tones. I give it a 7.5. Happy Father's Day.
Very nice.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool for a kid,
I don't think my son actually told me Happy Father's Day today. But I guess it's, 4/13. Maybe somebody will remind him here shortly.
It's more important they remember Mother's Day, It
doesn't really matter that either.
Yeah, well.
He's a little in the self-absorbed phase at this point in time to where he really only cares about himself. I'm hoping he grows out of that, but...
How old is he?
16.
Oh, well, that's okay. Mine's 32, 33.
If he was doing that at 32, I'd have to beat him up a little bit.
I think when I did the video on mine, the biggest surprise comments I got, I think I said, and because I mentioned you and I mentioned PB Thal, the difference in people's taste, and I said, and also Mike, probably out of all of us, has the youngest years. I believe he's in his late 30s. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yep, 40.
And two, what?
40. I just turned 40.
Okay, you just turned 40. People, he goes, and I said, he's in his late 30s, even though he looks 20 years older than that. I was kind of kidding, but
you
get the humor, though. I think. I hope.
No, it's true because I actually walked around the store the other day and asked all the employees after seeing your video. I said, "So, out of curiosity, if I shaved the beard, what do you think?" So I was contemplating it because I feel like the beard makes me look a little bit older, I think, than I actually am. But it also hides a couple of chins. So there's a cost benefit that needs to be weighed there. But I think the consensus was to leave the beard. So I'm just going to have to continue to look old.
The comments were favored. Like, I didn't get anything. Who cares about the friggin' Black Sabbath? Mike is in his 30s?
Yeah, it's so disappointing. I know. Yeah.
I'm like twice your age. Well, no, I'm not, actually. I'm 30 years older than you.
I'm 40. How old are you?
I'm going to turn 70 in, yeah.
Boy.
I might, like I come to Phoenix, I might just like keel over and that would be it.
Well, if you were to come, I don't necessarily recommend doing it the next couple of months. It is a little bit on the toasty side.
Yeah, maybe in the fall or something. Yeah.
It would be a great time. Have you been out here?
I have been to Phoenix maybe 30 years ago. I've been to Southwest. I've been to New Mexico. I know it's different. I've been to Santa Fe for the photo workshops I used to go to. So yeah, not a lot. I haven't spent a lot of time down there. Isn't that where they make? Isn't that where they mix? Am I thinking of the wrong place? They do it like Breaking Bad. Wasn't that down there where they
That
were
was
doing
New Mexico.
New Mexico. Okay.
I moved to Phoenix in 2001, and it was still kind of that small town vibe. And unfortunately, it's not anymore. It's
From where? From where?
Florida.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have to see if I'll have to see if there's an IHG hotel because I actually get points. IHG hotel.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know 100%, but we have a lot of stuff.
I'm just gonna. Yeah, I'm not. Don't worry, it's gonna be a while. Oh, they have the Kimpton Palomar.
Oh, the Palomar. So I actually was doing some renovation on my house, and I lived in the apartments next to the Palomar. Really nice, swanky hotel downtown.
I like Kimpton hotels. I mean, shit, this is like half to a third the price of a hotel in Seattle. So.
Oh, it was just meant to be.
Holiday Inn Express is only $113. That's an IHG. Staybridge IHG, Phoenix. Crown Plaza. I don't want to say by the airport.
Actually, my store's by the airport.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah, but I wouldn't stay by the airport.
Yeah, I don't like this. I'm gonna. Yeah.
It's not that the airport. It's not our ghetto is not necessarily by the airport. It's just by the airport. I know a lot of cities, big cities, there's a little bit more seedy area by the airport. I don't think that's the case in Phoenix, though.
Anyway, okay. I'm not coming right now, so we'll see.
You're looking, I don't know. I think you're getting a little bit stoked for it. You want to hear the robotic speakers, don't you?
I'd love to. I'd love to like spend 2 nights there, do a intro video with you, listen to your stuff, go out to have a steak and martini dinner. You can have whiskey or whatever. And yeah, meet the fam, meet the wife, and see the store, and do one of those videos where like you get a 5-minute or a 3-minute timer, and I put a card around, and anything I can load in, I can and get out within 3 minutes. I can take home,
like a supermarket sweep.
Yeah, exactly.
For the record,
that would be a funny video. I know,
you frantically grabbing stuff. What would you go to?
All those Billie Eilish records.
You just load up all the Billie Eilish. Well, that's one way of getting rid of them. That would be a good little, that would kind of be a good little YouTube video, kind of the Mr. Beast kind of, how many Billie Eilish records could you load into your hands and take out of the store? All that you load, you get to keep.
So someone says the Biltmore. How's the Biltmore?
Biltmore's fantastic.
Yeah, but that's not an IHG. I don't get points. Then I could get.
That's where Bob Dylan stayed the last time he was here.
Okay. Well, what's that a night? Like $400 a night or something?
That's probably more expensive. I think presidents generally stay there. I think George W. stayed.
Well, I'm the unofficial president of the VC.
Unofficially.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Some people take this shit too seriously.
How did you arrive at that?
I didn't make that up.
Because I actually think it possibly could be true, just because of your exposure. Because you are everywhere.
No, a couple people were joking about that on some streams, and so it got to be a running joke. There is no president. There is no thing. There's so many factions of people that I don't even know, that don't know me. It's a different thing. So it's just anyway.
Yeah, Jose's got the right idea. You get to
of course, no one believes it.
Any eco records in the store, you can bundle them up and get them out.
Yeah, it used to be Michael 45, but he's not the president anymore.
What happened there? Did he just kind of quasi-retire?
Have
you heard anything?
We haven't spoken in a while. We were actually very close, as you know, for a while.
Very close. I remember the live streams.
We live stream. We did our Four Corners. I respect him. He took a turn. He didn't like. I don't want to get in the whole personal stuff, but it's all known out there. We had a little. I think I was told later. He says, Mazza, you know what you did. And I think he was upset because he thinks I embarrassed him in front of Chad Kassam when I was about to ask him about boxes in the UHQR. And before I even got it out, he told me to, I won't say it on your stream, but
I was
said
there.
something to
That
me.
was good. That was
You
good
were there.
times.
That's right.
I was
You were-
actually on that stream. Yeah.
and I'm a customer, so how dare you talk to a customer? Anyway, but we got along really well, and I think also I thought it was because of the MoFi thing, where he was all in on MoFi, and all of a sudden on a dime he decides it's all OGs, not this reissue stuff anymore. Yeah, you are king of the VC. I don't know if that's
There you
not
go.
really you. Is that really
Probably
you?
not. I doubt it.
It's okay. But I like Michael. He's made good videos. I have no problem with Michael. That's not Michael. Okay. Here we go.
You could the accent's not there in his typing. So,
No. But he's in business now. He's like a partner at Chad in Europe. He's got the OBC. It's just different,
Online really has changed quite a bit. Have you noticed that? How YouTube in general, there's been kind of, I feel like there's been 3 distinctive periods for me, anyways. Kind of the pre-COVID, COVID, and now post-COVID. Do you notice
What's
that?
different now? In what way?
It just seemed like there was between. So COVID kind of was its own encompassing thing. First, you had the inability to get records. Things were becoming difficult. The craze. And it seemed like that kind of led to huge amounts of. Do you remember like when something would come out, every single channel made a video on it?
Yeah.
That kind of is not a thing anymore. Sometimes a release will inspire people.
There are key things like the Rhino
every now and then.
Yeah.
But it was everything. Like every MoFi solicited a review by everybody.
There'll be a shitload of these next month, Beatle, because always Beatle stuff, Mine comes out tomorrow, by the way, 9 a.m. Pacific time.
But it was like that for everything.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like every release, everybody did
every tone poet, every UHQR. Yeah.
What was so-and-so's version of what's his take on that release?
People had more time. They weren't working as much.
But it lasted well past 2020. I mean, this kind of went into 2022, 2021, 2022. Then MoFi happened, and then kind of everything changed. Everybody's videos kind of changed. I mean, it took a little while. Obviously, everybody talked about MoFi for 6 or 7 months. But like after that, I felt like everything kind of changed in a way. And you notice that, for instance, with 45's videos, he kind of changed as well. And it seemed like the whole vinyl community on YouTube itself changed.
I think it evolved. I think there's got to be an evolution. I don't know. I still do my quote whack-a-moles, my It's the Music Stupid. Then I do new releases, and I try to change things up. I do my autobiographical things of I pick a year and all my San Francisco stories, and I get teased, but in a way like Harry, if he's watching now, because half the videos I used to say growing up in San Francisco is I rode my bike to every concert in Golden Gate Park when I was a kid. Did you ride your bike to that concert? Did you go ride your bike to see the Sex Pistols? I mean, it's kind of a running joke, and I love that stuff. Yeah, well, Michael started a business. He makes a lot less videos of his records. I don't know. Again, I can't speak why that is. Maybe he's more wrapped up in the business now, which is fine.
It just seems like as a whole, the whole, everybody kind of changed. And maybe that's just my feed has changed. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think certain people got bored and moved on. There's certain people, obviously Rachel's every morning and evolved, and it's about music and it's about drama. It's about, and some people can't handle those kind of streams because they get into politics and religion and they argue, but that's what it's for. That's a totally unique thing in the morning because it's like the morning zoo, like a Howard Stern. So if you go into that and you get upset, you should just turn the channel and go on to something else. I don't do that stuff on my stream, but I enjoy it when I go there, I enjoy like sparring. I mean, you're the first person, one of the first people I did a collab with. And I remember someone said, how come you haven't done one before? And you just said, no one asked you. I did the thing because I wanted to do a video on working in a record store now versus when I did in the 70s and 80s, and we had a conversation for an hour or something.
It's interesting, though, because you really got lucky with that, though, don't you think? Like we had an agreement to do that maybe 2 or 3 weeks before Mobile Fidelity.
Oh, it happened that week, didn't it?
Yes. So we had it planned to where I was going to come on your channel. You were going to interview me. You asked me. I agreed to it. It just so happened it was the week after everything
I
happened with you
forgot that was the timing. I forgot
and it
about
was
that.
the first time I had talked about it outside of the couple of videos that I made and talking to the Washington. But I mean, online, it was the first video I actually happened to talk about it was on your channel.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
pretty fun. Yeah, if I ever do come to my store, can I do like an hour shift and just check people out and see how it goes?
I think that would be hilarious. Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
gonna put you at the register
Not the, the
and
thing
see
is,
what
only
happens.
except for 2 times, the only time I get like you recognized is when I'm in a record show or record store, because those are that's our audience, people that in those places. Um,
It's does that happen? Does that happen with your son? I know you said your son doesn't watch, but are you ever out with your son and get recognized?
um, well, he lives in Portland, so
Oh, okay, okay.
he doesn't live with me. I don't think. Maybe we were somewhere and someone came up to me and said, "Oh, I was with my friends and I was in my friends on Haight Street, 4
Mm-hmm.
blocks from Amoeba with my buddy, and we were having a drink and pizza. And this is like the end of COVID, and we were standing. They had like a counter inside outside type of thing, so we were standing. And I was looking at Ron. He was the inside. I was standing out on the bar thing on the other side of it. And this guy kept walking back and forth, like kind of looking at me and staring at me. It was kind of weird. I mean, you kind of realize how unnerving it must be for real celebrities, And then
Oh,
he
it's got to
finally
be
says,
crazy.
he goes, "You're Mazzy, aren't you?" That type of thing. But that was the first time it ever happened, not in a record store, completely a separate location.
So it happens to me quite a bit around town, but a lot of it is not necessarily even because of YouTube. It's because I own a record store, so I see
Right.
a lot of people in town. But it's really awkward because I'll be out with my friends or something, and then people will come up and talk to me. But they're mostly people I just know from the store. And my friends kind of look at me like this is really awkward. But the most surreal experience I ever had, and it's a weird story to tell to this day, but I was in Den Bosch and I had just gotten there. I walked to the fair, which was like 45 minutes from the hotel. Horrible city to have that show in, by the way. But I run to the bathroom. I walk up to the urinal. I'm standing there. I'm taking a piss at the urinal. And some guy just shouts, "It's Mike from the In Groove." And
Oh,
I look
that's the
over
worst
and I'm
place.
sitting there taking a piss. And I'm like, this is really weird. But I can
Wow.
only imagine with somebody like, I guess celebrities, you get so famous, you have to insulate yourself from even using the bathroom. But
Yeah,
it
you can
must
never
be,
use the bathroom if you're famous.
yeah, it must really be awkward if you're ever in a situation as like an actual real celebrity to have to use the bathroom to where you can't even do that.
Hey, dude, yeah, my son's been on about 4 or 5 of my videos. It's been a while. Like we did these driving videos. We're just chatting as we're driving about music. But so you gotta, I don't know, will you search on my channel? His name is Joseph, so I think I might include his name on it. But it's been a while.
Yeah, that's true, Alan. That's possible that the t-shirt helps. It's actually the t-shirt is the most comical thing because the people on YouTube get it. They're like, "Oh, I watch him on YouTube. I got a t-shirt with his character on it." But I get a kick out of the people who just come into the record store because it's they have no idea about the internet, the YouTube. That's not a thing, and they just come in and I'll be behind the counter and they'll look at the t-shirt and they'll look back and they're like, "Is that you on the t-shirt?" I'm like, "Yes, it is." And they're like, "Why are you on the t-shirt?"
Do you give a T-shirt out with like a $250 purchase or something?
I should, but I have a feeling most actually I did that once upon a time. For Record Store Day, I gave away the first 200 people online. Maybe this was like 2015, 2016. I gave away a t-shirt to the first maybe 200 people in line. Then I was shopping a week or two later at Zia, which is a local record store here in town, kind of a chain. And I remember going through their t-shirt racks and there was like 40 of the t-shirts that I gave away. And
Yeah.
everybody ran and sold them to Zia. I'm like, all right, we're not going to do that no more. But
You know,
that's, yeah.
there's a really nice small record store, well curated in San Francisco called Tunnel Records out by the beach. And they just opened a second smaller store in this theater that's now an old theater I used to go to when I was a kid, neighborhood theater that's going to have music and music movies now. It's called Tunnel Records. And I went into it a couple years ago for the first time, maybe 3 years ago. And great jazz stuff. And the guy who owns it is young guy, I guess he's in his 40s. And his aunt was married, or aunt or great aunt, married to Ornette Keep News, the producer of Fantasy,
Hmm.
did all the, you know, Bill Evans records, all that stuff, and worked in Berkeley for years at Fantasy. And great store. And I went there and we chatted for a while. I shot some footage and I did a video, and the Tunnel Records was featured in my video. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, I get this package with a sweatshirt and a couple of t-shirts. And he goes, I don't know what you did, Mazzy, but I've had about 30 people come in here said Mazzy sent me. And they bought a lot of records. So it was kind of cool when you hear that kind of feedback. I just love that store so much. So if you go to San Francisco, Tunnel Records out by the Great Highway by Pacific Ocean, tell him Mazzy sent you. Good little store.
He gives you a discount now, doesn't he?
No, he didn't give me a discount. He'll throw a shirt in, or gave me a jacket of something, that kind of thing.
Maybe calls you when the Choice Beatles stuff comes in. None of
I'm
that.
I don't buy really the Beatles stuff anymore. I'm kind of
Yeah.
off the big collectible market now. I buy new
How much
music.
stuff? What was your overall impression? I think you might have talked about it, but I can't. I don't have enough time to watch everybody's videos. What was your overall impression of Austin?
The show?
Yeah, like how did you pick much up?
I didn't
The
pick
records that were there. What did you think?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was a good. I hadn't been there. I was there 216.
Record wise or people wise? Like I'm talking
Well,
just record wise.
Record wise, I thought it was a really good show, and the people I was with really liked the show musically. I talked to some people who went 6 months earlier that I didn't go to, like Harry and a couple other people. They were disappointed. Now I don't know if it's the fall show is better than the spring show or whatever it was, or the spring show is better than the fall show. But it was a really fun show. But I'm at that point now. I think I bought maybe 20 records, and nothing. I bought 2 Beck records that were kind of pricey, but aside from that, nothing super rare. But I thought it was good. I really like the social thing, meeting these people through YouTube and other people. That and the New York show. I'm going to go to the New York show again in the fall. This time it's in Manhattan. It's like Halloween, first week in November. Because last time it was in Queens, and the venue was good, but they wouldn't let you leave. The food, you couldn't get food. I hope they let you come in. I can't believe they don't let you go out and come back in, which is ridiculous. So hopefully now it's in Chelsea, and I love New York City. I know New York really well, so I'm going to go then.
I might do that. I originally thought about doing it, and I went to the Austin Record Fair maybe a year ago, and I really didn't have very much success buying stuff. And if I can't buy stuff for myself or the store, like that's not a good thing, because I've got really broad taste. I can buy for the store. There's lots of things I can buy for, but I didn't really have a lot of success. So when everybody was talking about doing it, I thought to myself, no, I'm not really going to go. I didn't have very much success there 6 months ago or a year ago, whatever it had been. And unfortunately, I didn't look at the big picture, because I really should have just went to hang out with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because I get tunnel vision and I didn't think about that ahead of time for some reason.
I like the hanging out part. I mean, all the guys that I met up with in New York were into a lot of the esoteric stuff, a lot of UK and French pressings and that kind of stuff, avant-garde and jazz and experimental stuff. And they love the New York show in terms of, because the dealers there. There was one guy who has a big warehouse from France, but he keeps it in Brooklyn somewhere, and he had a ton of stuff. But that really wasn't my thing. But I think a lot of the people who were there, some of the jazz bum guys were there, and really liked it. So those are the people to add. Yeah. Mike, this guy, Notes and Tones. Thank you, Mike. He's teasing me now. What did you think of the New York show, Mike? That's Notes and Tones.
So I actually think, personally, I don't know if I'm going to do Austin, but I think I'm actually, being that show's in Manhattan, I probably will do that show this year. Oddly enough, I went in 2021. I was in Manhattan for Halloween. I went and saw Ravi Coltrane, and that was Halloween. Yeah, that was on Halloween 2021.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm going Thursday through Monday, maybe. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Have they already announced the date? That's the WFMU show?
Yeah, I already got my plane ticket, but I haven't booked a hotel or an Airbnb yet. Everything's gone like triple. I used to go to New York twice a year for work. for my photo agency, and costs have tripled now. Since the pandemic, like hotels. It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. And I will say, when
And
I
that's the
went
best time to
last
go to.
time, when I looked last time, I ended up staying right off of Broadway. I went there to see David Byrne. That was the real reason we went. But yeah, the prices were pretty astronomical, especially if you were looking anywhere in the Central Park area. Actually, Trump Tower was relatively affordable
You could probably get it free now.
compared to everything else that was in the area. I was quite shocked how inexpensive that was, but I wanted to be more in the Broadway area. But the prices were a little bit pretty crazy. And I can only imagine what they're going to be like now.
Yeah, I mean, I know New York well enough that I could almost stay anywhere. I don't want to stay way up high, but Chelsea and Soho and East Village and the West Village and Midtown, anywhere around there, because it's in Chelsea. So I know New York. Whether I walk, take a cab, take the subway, whatever I do, I had someone offer me who I stayed with last time, my friend Arnaldo. I stayed in Queens, which was great. But that was when the show was there. I don't, no offense, I just don't want to stay in Queens when I'm going to be in Manhattan all the time,
Yeah, and I gotta say, if you do stay in that part, the Chelsea area, you're very, very close to Cats, so there's a plus for that.
You mean the Broadway show?
No, the deli.
Oh, Cats. I thought you meant like
Cats.
Cats.
No, not Cats.
Yeah.
Cats.
Oh,
I plan my trips around food when I go to New York.
Cats is on Houston and Ludlow. That's great.
Yeah,
That's Cat. Yeah, I love Cats.
it's very close.
And you know what I like up by now I do like a steakhouse. There's the one, I forgot the name of it. It's the one not walking distance from Grand Central, and it's the one like in the 80s where the mafia guy was shot.
Oh, shot out front.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
He was
love
waxed
sitting at
right
the
outside.
bar there. That steak, I forgot the name of it. Someone in New York tell me, what's the steakhouse where the mafioso guy got killed?
So keep me filled in on your plans there. Let me know what your plans are, because I'm like 95% sure I'll go to that show.
I'll tell you my dates and stuff. So,
yeah, I just got to talk to some folks back at the shop, but it's a great time to go to, because it's like, it's right before it gets crazy at the shop.
Right.
So it's like the last, before.
And usually the weather in New York is great. You might have to wear a coat or a jacket, but October right there, early before November hits, it's nice. It doesn't get freezing yet.
I had a great time. There was a brand new record store in Chelsea when I went there, who just opened up.
Oh, which one is it?
God, I forget the name of it, to be honest, but it was right down.
There's a few little stores we walked to in Manhattan last time.
People asked me multiple times, but it was the coolest thing. The guy that runs it recognized me, and he goes, "Mike, I got something that you'd probably," and this was the best thing. He goes, "Mike, I got something that you probably will have use for, but I have no customer base for this kind of thing." He goes, "I got this near mint, Robert Ludwig, Led Zeppelin 2. Would you like this? I'll make you a good deal on it." I'm like, fantastic. But I loaded up at that store. I think it was the best store for pickups that I had the entire time I was there. It was great. And I can't.
They have the
the
store.
name of it.
I'm blanking at the name. It's out of San Francisco and Oakland. It's the store that has their own label, Super Viaduct. There's a lot of like jazz reissues, and they have a store in Manhattan too. And I'm blanking out the name of it right there.
Is that the Japanese store that also?
No. There's a few little tiny stores there, and there's A1 Records. That has
it was actually the place I went was down the street from A1.
Okay, and A1. Okay, if you want a good, you like a good bar, I can tell.
Well,
a good cocktail, right? No.
Yeah, I'll take a cocktail.
Yeah. You don't.
I'm not a huge drinker, but I do drink.
Okay. Well, you don't have to drink a lot. I don't drink a lot. I like to drink.
I drink a couple of drinks. I'm like a 2-drink kind of person.
Okay. Well, there's oh god, what's like right in the same block?
Obnoxious if I go too much.
Right on the what's the bar? Is that on East 9th, 7th? What street is that on? Where are the New Yorkers? I'm not getting any new comments there. Are they all dead? Oh, here we go. Stranded. Okay, Stranded Records. What is the bar by A1? I guess I didn't go down here. It's a mixologist kind of hoity-toity thing, but it's a cool space. You wouldn't even expect it's behind there. Wondering. God damn it. Let me hold on a second.
Sparks. That's the name of the steakhouse. We definitely got to go there. I wanted to go last time, and something came up, and I ended up at Smith and Walensky's, and that was a very disappointing experience. They put me by the window, and I got to look out the window. There was 9 foot of trash piled up on the street. Like, very appetizing. He muted himself. Billy, I don't remember the name of that record store. Maybe.
Yes, Death and Company. Thank you, Billy. Death and Company. That's the bar.
There you go.
Yes, we need to go to Il Buco. We need to make a reservation and go to Il Buco. That is a great Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Sparks, Il Buco. Sorry, I missed all these. I didn't. My thing got stuck. I didn't have all the comments here.
Now, do you do any shows while you're there after
this kind of trip? No. When I go,
No.
when I used to go for work, I used to go to ad agencies and show portfolios all week. So I'd fly in like Monday night, and I'd have portfolio shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. I'd go to dinner. I'd go to usually maybe 2 Broadway shows or off Broadway shows while I was there, and I'd fly home Sunday. So and Saturday would be my big like record shopping day or whatever. But I'd work all day, which is kind of fun being in Manhattan and working, bringing photography portfolios to agencies. I liked it.
I'm surprised you wouldn't go to like the Village Vanguard and see a show while you were there.
Oh, music shows. Yeah. If someone's,
that's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about like Broadway, like Cats or something.
Oh, yeah, Broadway.
Yeah. If there's someone playing, I'd go to a lot of music venues. I'd see rock shows. I'd go to the, what's the one on, oh God, the one on Irving Place. Come on, you New Yorkers, that place. I'd go to a lot of show, clubs. Yeah. I've been to Village Vanguard a bunch of times, but it's been a while. I'm not a photographer. I was a photographer agent, commercial photographer agent.
I went the one time to the Village Vanguard, and it was a mind-boggling experience, and that's the main reason I want to go back. Yeah, but it was like one of those things. You walk in there, and it's like a time portal. You forget that it's 2024, and it was magical. It was awesome. Yeah. I went with Angel. We saw Ravi Coltrane. He did the most amazing set. It was something that she would normally find insufferable, and she actually enjoyed it. So it was a hell of a trip.
Irving Plaza. And then in 2016 and 17 and 18, I was working in New York 2 months, every January, February, the coldest time. But when you're there and you're prepared and you got the right clothes, there was a apartment on East 17th, right at Union Square across from the W Hotel. And it was a 3rd store walk up. And this company, I would rent it from for 2 months so I could work local for 2 months. And it was like one of the best times I ever had. I loved living in Manhattan like that. I don't think I could do it full time ever, but it was so great. So there is a great little restaurant, Irving Place. That's a Mario Battelli place, Spanish Tapas. Again, someone remind me of the Spanish Tapas place on Irving Place on the corner of 17th, East 17th. But great food. You like that tiny place, Casamano, that place. It's a great food. I mean, restaurants are everywhere. Are so good there in New York.
Jeff Tain Watts on drums. That was one hell of a show.
Wow.
Unfortunately, you'll probably get that where you're at, but we don't get great jazz shows in Arizona. We got a jazz venue, but
that's why I don't want to move to Phoenix.
I know, I'm just messing with you, but it's cheap, It
is.
I know.
It's too late. All these places are too late to cheap. Yeah, I moved to Seattle from San Francisco because it was a third the price of San Francisco, and now it's maybe half the price.
I know. It's funny you mention that, though, because the last time I was in New York, I thought to myself, this would be fantastic to actually have a condo, just a small little condo, kind of like it's funny, most people from New York, they vacation other places, but I would love to actually have a little bit of a vacation spot.
Yeah. I thought of it at
Manhattan.
I had like 3 friends that do what I do. They're friendly competition. These 2 women I know that are photo agents. And we thought about doing something somehow we were talking about renting and not buying, obviously, but the time, but get a place in New York and just have it. And us and our photographers, and and we could get it whenever we went there. Because when you go there for a week, even back before it got crazy, you're paying, $250 to $350 a night for a hotel in Manhattan, for a week. Now, when you have a business that's busy, it's worth it. Like now, I don't have that business anymore, so to spend $1,500 to go to New York on lodging, it adds up. I mean, so I'm careful I used to be.
Yeah, but it would have been great for me, But I thought about it, and then I thought to myself, well, I don't ever take vacations, so that really wouldn't work. It's not a place I love to live, but it's a place I would love to visit frequently. Go to all the jazz clubs, get on a plane, and fly home.
It's one of my favorite cities in the country. I still love New York City.
Plus all the, there's going to be, when you get these tours from bands that do 2 or 3 stops, New York is always one of those stops. When they'll do the abbreviated tour, they'll do the LA, Chicago, New York, and bounce.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be perfect for that type of, yeah.
I mean, when I was at those 3 years, what I even liked, even though it's a big chain in a way, but 2 blocks from where I was staying was the Virgin Megastore at Union Square. And so it was just fun going there to see the in-stores, massive store, when the Virgin Megastores were fun stores.
Mm-hmm. We had one here in Phoenix, actually.
I never saw Cats. I don't know why I keep saying Cats. I actually never saw the play.
Cats,
but there's Cat's Deli.
With a K.
Yeah, KATZ.
They mail, by the way, too. You can.
I know. I subscribe to their Instagram feed. Of course, you get those big things of all that pastrami. It's so overkill.
It's good. It just doesn't taste the same.
I remember the days of the Carnegie Deli, and I missed the Carnegie Deli. The Second Avenue Deli is still good. Not as good as Katz, but it's not even on Second Avenue anymore. So they moved.
Is the Stage Deli still there, or is that gone?
I don't know. You have to ask. I don't know.
Another famous one. I ate at the Carnegie Deli. Stage Deli might be gone. It might have been gone, actually.
Jack, most likely I will go to the Seattle audio show in September, but I didn't even know the dates yet.
You weren't a big fan, though, of a hi-fi show. What were you in general?
I love going again to meet the people, to hear some stuff, but it's just, I remember we went, and I was with some PB Thal and Michael, Poetry on Plastic, and a few of us, and Rob. And we went to there was one, I forgot what speakers they were, but these incredible, $200,000, $300,000, whatever speakers. And they sounded like shit. The setup was so bad. And then PB Thal actually bought some, were they Klipsch? I forget what they bought. These small kind of speakers that are like, I don't know, $2,200 a pair. And we heard them in this small room and they sounded amazing. He ended up buying a pair for one of his systems, not at the show, but after the fact. I like going just to, that's where I met Fremer the first time, which is fun, always fun.
I had a good time at Expo, and I actually spent most of the time with Kevin Gray, who was there doing a kind of a presentation in one of the rooms on the Anthony Wilson Hackensack West.
Nice.
And it was kind of interesting walking around with him. We'd pop into a couple of the rooms. And it was the bizarre thing was they're doing demo records, and it's like one room after another we're just doing demo records that Kevin happened to cut. And some of the people kind of like caught on to the fact that it was Kevin sitting there, and most people were just kind of oblivious to it. But it was kind of, and then, afterwards, so, asking Kevin what he thought about the record that he mastered on their particular system. It was entertaining. I had a lot of fun this last trip. I like going, and I have a good time. But I think most of the music they play is boring and terrible. They don't play a lot of music with balls. I don't say they have to play, Led Zeppelin all the time or some post-punk thing or something crazy. But, if I hear, as much as I like Diana Krall or Nora Jones or it's the same old shit, or that easy, smooth jazz crap. That Three Blind Mice stuff that you're into. Three Blind Mice is amazing. I think you need to re-listen to it. It's
the
farthest thing from elevator music I've ever heard. I don't know where the hell you came up with that.
Everyone told me I have to get that Blow Up album, and I did. I just thought it sounded amazing.
So good.
It sounded great. but it was like, again, like the jazz band at the Holiday Inn by the airport musically.
Why with that freaky stand-up bass just ferociously? Oh, no way. I think maybe you got a pressing defect. They might have threw some Kenny G on your pressing.
No, it sounded
Maybe they mixed up the stampers.
audibly, and the sound of it was really good. But I would never just to go grab to put some music on to feel some like the other night. Friday night there was this dinner of my friend's niece's. She's 30. It was graduation respiratory therapy, and her parents came out from Ohio. 15 of us at this Italian restaurant, and some of it came over here after. And when I have friends over like that, I don't really put on albums because you don't want to keep flipping. So I grabbed some CDs, and one of it was a Verve CD from the 2000s or the 90s. Ben Webster on Verve, The Soul of Ben Webster, a double CD.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded so friggin' good.
Yeah,
So
that's a
good.
good one.
And it's great. And it's like not, that's 50s, I guess. And it was amazing. I'm going to grab it. You got to.
That's definitely one of those titles that I think didn't they just reissue that as a, it's just got another reissue, right? That's an acoustic sound series Verve title.
Yeah, I have it upstairs. I don't have it here. But anyway, it's a double CD. It's like I know it's a collection on Verve, and it's got.
Yeah, that's a great record.
It's got Oscar Peters, all these good. It sounded really good. Yeah, early 50s, Mike. And on CD, on my system, there's about 8 of us there, and I had it kind of loud, but cocktail background stuff. I thought that kicked ass. I would subject those people to 3 Blind Mice.
I'm not going to disparage the Ben Webster. Ben Webster stuff is fantastic. But
the Soulville, that's different. That's great. Soulville absolutely is great.
And definitely the Ben Webster is more of a good loungy, backgroundy type of music.
But it was, it was smoking. It was upbeat.
Yeah,
it was
3 Blind Mice smokes. I don't know.
They smoke while they're going in the chow hall behind the bar where the employees get dinner.
I forget the name of the track. Listen to it's the longest track on Blow.
I don't have it anymore.
Not you. I'm telling the audience so they can realize how wrong you are. Go listen to the long track on Blow Up, and it's just a smoker. Awesome record. Definitely not loungy cocktail music.
I'm going to wait a second.
Yeah, go get it. Wife doesn't. Oh, man, I'll tell you what, though. Every time I get Kenny G in the shop, $6, $7, $8, I don't know if it's got Songbird on it. It's like a $10 record. It sells. Yeah. Okay. It's a distribution issue. I'm working on it, but I don't have access to the folks distributing it. So I'm working on it though. And Japanese distribution is really bizarre. Like I get limited all the time when I order stuff out of Japan for distribution. They're like, all right, we got 5 copies of a record for you. I was like, I need more than 5. I need 50. Oh no, you don't have 50.
Buy this CD. You can probably get it cheap. The Soul of Ben Webster. It's a double. It's 2 CDs. I'm sure these days you can get it cheap. Verve,
right? Productions did it as a 45 RPM.
Yeah. Okay. It's probably 2 records put together. I guess I don't even know. But it got Johnny Hodges on it. You got.
Why is it 2? Why is it 2? Is it an expanded
It must be
edition?
2 different. It's 2 different records. It's these 2 records. Can you see those?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a 2.
Analog Productions did the bottom one.
Yeah. It's got Oscar Peterson, Roy Etheridge, Art Farmer, Billy Strayhorn, Herb Ellis. It really smoked, and everyone, and these people that were there, most of them are not jazz people, and it wasn't like a safe MOR jazz. It was upbeat and smoking horns, but the horns, sometimes.
Okay, but now did you play the same group of people Blow Up or no?
I don't have Blow Up anymore. I don't own it.
Okay, so maybe the reaction would have been equally positive. You ever think of that?
They would have fallen asleep. They would have said, "Excuse me, check, please," and they.
It's time to go. I'm out. Possibly. I don't know. I guess different strokes, but I definitely don't see it as elevator holiday and elevator music.
If I ever come to your place, you're going to play me that, and
I'm going to play it. But and I just can't see you having Chuck Mangione vibes with that record. But maybe
I don't. Yeah. Yeah, I will listen to it and I'll be open to it. And if I like it, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll tell you I like it. So
Rick's actually, I love that record. I've listened to that record 50 times. I own it. I actually saw them on tour.
that's hard to
Believe it
get
or not.
that record. I don't have that
Have you?
record.
So they did that solo record together. It's essentially
Right.
a combination of their own tunes and then tunes they collaborated on. But they played here locally, and they had such a difficult time selling those tickets. I bought the tickets to the show at the end from the venue, like last minute. I was 8th row for $8. So I got to sit in the 8th row for $8. And then when I got there, they had autographed copies of the record for $40, autographed by both of them. It was such a great show experience. What a hell of an album I thought that was. But I'm a big Lindsey Buckingham fan. Seen him solo, seen Fleetwood Mac 3 or 4 times. My vote for the talent in the band is Lindsey and Christine McVie over Stevie Nicks. Unpopular opinion.
I like her better than Stevie Nicks too. Actually, I do
Yeah.
agree with you there. You know, I like Stevie Nicks, but after a while, her voice wears on me after two tracks.
Yeah, and I feel like a couple of her best tunes, like Edge of 17, like that version of Stevie, for me is the best. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I do love the album "Say You Will," but the missing component there is Christine McVie is not on it. But it's a good record, a great sounding record, later Fleetwood Mac record. But I wish she was on it because that could have been a bigger record.
that really is one of the, I think maybe an underlooked thing about Fleetwood Mac in general is those albums were so great, and one of the reasons a lot of them were great is because they were really broken up. You know, you got a little bit of Lindsey, a little bit of, you know, you got the albums kind of shifted, so they were never too much of one thing.
Right.
I enjoyed them. I sold Stevie Nicks' brother a mattress once, actually. So it was a really bizarre conversation. I had just bought a copy of Buckingham Nicks online. This was like maybe 15 years ago. I bought a real clean copy on eBay, maybe. This was late 2000s. And a guy comes in and he's buying a mattress, and he keeps making telephone calls, and it's like, it sounds like he's setting up a show, like he's orchestrating a show, and he was there for a couple of hours. So finally I started talking to him, and I'm like, so, like, what do you do? And he's like, you know, I work kind of with a band. My sister's in a band. And he's like reluctant to tell me, and he's like, and I kind of like pulled it out of him, and he's like, yeah, have you heard of the band Fleetwood Mac? He's like, I'm like, well, you know, you don't have an English accent. I'm like, is your brother Stevie Nicks by chance? And it was really bizarre because as we're talking, in an LP mailer underneath the desk was that copy of Buckingham Nicks. And I remember his name was Nick Nicks. And I remember, yes, I know who's Fleetwood Mac.
Nicks.
I think it's Nick. I think it was Nick Nicks. Yeah. And I
His
remember
parents
pulling the
lived
copy
in
of Buckingham Nicks out of from under the table and be like, I just bought this on eBay. It was a weird experience.
Nick Nicks. That's horrible.
I feel like it was Nick Nicks. I could be wrong though, but I think it was Nick Nicks.
It's like Richard Dick or something.
Nick Nicks. But you know, and then I saw him at the show maybe 2 or 3 days later. He was running in between backstage doing sound, and I'm like, hey, Nick. And he looked at me like, who the hell are you? And I'm like, I saw 3 hours we talked. Yeah, he had not a clue who the hell I was.
I think here's a question that both of us would agree on. Okay, or say the same answer. What do you guys feel about using equalizers in your signal chain?
Oh, I don't have an equalizer. I don't have tone controls.
I don't have tone controls either.
No, I mean, the thing is, you start with the equalizer, and then you kind of are under the assumption that you're like a mastering engineer. And I never really got mastering engineer vibes when I think of myself. You know, what the hell would I be doing? Putzing around with all those.
If the artist doesn't get it right with their record, I don't want to listen to it.
No, and I mean, we're at the point now where you don't really need an equal. There's so many variations of modern record, or you know, especially classic rock records. You can really go to town with the mastering choices you like. You know, if there's something you
Okay.
like, you can pick a mastering engineer and go
Johnny
right to
C
that.
says it's Chris Nicks, not Nick Nicks.
Chris Nicks. All right. Well, that's
Okay.
close.
Well, that's
Chris
bad enough.
Nick.
Chris Nicks. Merry Chris Nicks.
Chris Nicks.
That's something worse, maybe. Christopher Nicks. Okay, you know.
Chris Nicks. God, I could have swore it was Nick, but you know, it was a while ago. Let's see. So you seeing your son later on for?
No, he's in Portland. I
No-
talked
no
to him this
trip?
morning. He sent me a thing. You know, I saw him 2 weeks ago.
Does
So
he have kids?
no, he's not
No
married. He lives with his
grandkids.
girlfriend. He's 33. Yeah,
All right.
only kid. Only kid.
Yeah, I got an only kid, 16. No grandkids. That's good.
I thought you had a daughter for some reason.
That's the Angel's kids. Step
Oh,
kids. Yeah.
how many live with you?
Technically, none of them. I see my
Okay.
kid half the time. They're all old now. I mean, old enough to be on their own. 18, 19, 18,
Have
20.
you had him young then?
Well, I had Mike when I was, 24, which I don't think was young.
Okay.
Angel from her previous
I was
relationship.
34, 35 when my son was born.
I actually would like to have another kid, but yeah, it's not happening, I don't think. I feel like it's a good
Don't look at me like that.
I feel like it's a good backup plan to have more than one personally.
Oh God. I had a friend who I remember this friend of mine said, well, my wife just got pregnant. It's good to have a backup kid. I said, what? I couldn't believe he said that. Yeah, if something happens to one of them, I thought that was the weirdest thing. God.
I mean, not even necessarily in that regard. Yes, that
Oh.
is a possibility, but maybe one of them decides they don't want to have kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
If Mike doesn't have kids, then that's the end of the Espositos, which, some people might think of as a good thing. I don't. But, maybe he's not successful. Maybe he kills somebody, God forbid. I don't know.
Jesus.
It's just good
This
to
stream
have.
has taken a dark turn.
It's just good to have a backup. That's all.
And you don't drink much?
No, not yet.
Maybe you better start. It's 5:00 here. Is it 5:00 there now? Are we in the same
5
time
o'clock.
zone?
Yep. For the next, till
So we are
time switches.
I wasn't sure if we were in the same time zone.
For now.
Yeah, for a little
Yeah,
while.
that's why I'm not hitting the morning streams, because I'm not the biggest early riser. I get up at 8,
Well, you're young. Wait till you're, my age and you wake up early.
Actually, I would prefer to wake up early, and I tried doing it for a little while to where I was waking up at 6. But the problem for me was when I shoot my Thursday night video, that was screwing me up. Because when I woke up at 6, I wanted to get to bed around, 10 o'clock. But the problem with the Thursday night video is I close the store at 11, I shoot it, and I'm editing that video and uploading it till 1:30 in the morning. So
What
I couldn't do it.
what are your store or normal store hours during the week?
11 to 7.
Oh, okay.
What are common hours over there? I've actually debated on changing my hours.
Well, most of the record store, all except one, the record stores here are open like either 10 or 11, and the latest one is Easy Street because they close it at Easy Street opens from 9 in the morning to 9 at night, but they have a diner inside, so they get I think the diner opens at 8 in the morning, and it's like full diner, breakfast, lunch, and then in the evenings, maybe every other week they have a live show in store or whatever. That place does a killer because they get a lot of the tourists because it's in West Seattle and Pearl Jam. It's like two of the guys from Pearl Jam live there, and that live Pearl Jam record store day a while ago, or I think you still get it.
Easy Street, yeah.
And they're in there and out there all the time. It's like the one store that's very Seattle centric here, but they have a lot of good used and new stuff. I mean, most of the other stores, if used stuff, they might get 2 copies. Like I go to Silver Platters, it's closer to me, and they'll have 2 copies of a new release. And if you don't get there in the first few hours or the first hour, and depending what the release is, it's gone. Whereas Easy Street gets, they'll get 10, 15, 20. It depends on the release.
Yeah.
A major, like the old days, if it's a Pearl Jam, they'll get 500 copies or whatever, but at least they get a substantial amount and they go through them. They do pretty well.
So what time do the other stores close?
I think 7. Nobody stays. My day. We had Tower open till midnight every week, every year, every day. In my days, we were open till 9, and then midnight on the weekends. And we were those are the days those are the days everyone would come in. We'd get these local like rock people, like Michael
Mhm.
Shreve used to live there. He lives here now. Eddie Money was living close by when his first album came. These guys would come at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night to cash a check. Remember, this is pre-ATM stuff. Where they wanted money for blow.
Yeah, for
Something like
drugs.
that. Oh, totally.
100%.
And there was no such thing as an ATM then. And we'd know
Yeah.
them, so we'd cash their check. You'd go to the
Mhm.
record store and get your checks cashed. Employees, I'd go in like not for drugs, but you're going out at night, you need some cash, you'd cash a check.
There's a huge part of I would love to, like, 9 to 5 would be my ideal hours for a record store. And there's a part of me that wants to do it. I just don't think I could get away with it. It just seems like bad
Who
business.
comes at 9
But
in the morning to buy records, really, though?
the thing is, the problem with 11 to 7 is it just takes up my whole damn day, and I feel like
Yeah.
I'm a slave to my job. It gobbles up so much of your day
But
to be
people
from
get off
11 to
work and they
7.
want to go get a record. 7 seems like a
I
good.
I know, but there's so
I
much of
mean,
my business is
well,
online.
you have your camera on. How busy are you in the last?
Oh, it's busy. That's why I can't do it.
Yeah.
It was hard enough closing on Sunday, getting away with that, but I just decided to do it anyways.
Our favorite thing is we'd go out at North Beach. We'd go to the punk shows at the Buhay, and sometimes before or after we go at 11 o'clock to Tower, and you walk into Tower at 11:45, and they open at midnight, but they're really trying to wind it down. They don't want you to come in at 11:45 because they
Yeah.
want to close. And you're walking in, and it's those fluorescent lights. It's bright as hell, and maybe you had a little bit of a drink or a puff or something, and you walk in this bright light. It's crazy.
We had a record store here. Zia was open till midnight. I think they dialed it back. COVID kind of changed the way everybody, I think, was open. I felt like I used to be able to get late night dinners and do things 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night. That's kind of gone now, anyways, in Phoenix. Trying to find dinner past 9 o'clock is next to impossible. But I don't know. I mean, keep in mind we do hi-fi as well, and your typical hi-fi buyer, I don't think, is coming in at 7 o'clock.
Do you get a lot of hi-fi
rationalize it.
people coming on the weekends looking for gear? Are you known for gear?
No, which is really disappointing because I love selling gear.
Well,
It's bigger
what
ticket.
kind of who are your competitors?
We have very few hi-fi shops, and maybe there's about 4 or 5 hi-fi shops in Arizona compared to a place like LA where there's 100. It's nuts.
Well, okay, think about this now. As your creative consultant here, Mike.
Yes, please.
This will get me to
Spitball.
Phoenix. The vinyl community, and you're kind of an auxiliary part of it. I'm part of it somewhat and everything. It's really a tiny fraction in the whole YouTube thing, really, And the bigger, all these gear channels are massive. They're bigger. The Andrew, whatever his name is, and all those guys, headphone guys, and and aside from the stores have it. How come you don't do a segment on your channel and really try to build your gear like every week?
I did one. I did the Yamaha video.
Oh, yeah, that was it. You do one,
but that was the first. I've got another one coming. My new turntable.
I don't know why I'm telling you about this. You should, this stuff. You're a great businessman. But whether it's, you need to do one a week, even it can be a 15-minute thing. That was a long ass video, and so that was a big thing. But you could
so
just.
So what would you do then? One a week. So give me the synopsis.
Well, okay,
of the
we
video.
got the
How
new.
would it look?
We got the new Riga Naim, whatever, blah, 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 do a little showcase of, talk about it, hype it up. We're here Saturday 10 to 7. I don't mean to, don't do that like this used car salesman shtick, but feature a product like you do the Thursday morning, do a Tuesday or do a Friday, whatever it is, do a Friday and you can tape it earlier. So it comes for people coming on the weekend. That's when they go buy gear unless they take off work during the week. And I don't know, just something like a feature a product. I don't know.
I want to do it. And I've brainstormed so many ways, like how am I going to do it? The Yamaha video, and I really haven't told very many people the behind the scenes.
I watched
that was the biggest.
It took you too long to open the fucking box.
You think that's bad? I originally filmed the entire unboxing, but the problem was I forgot to change my camera setting, so it was autofocusing. So it was just doing nonstop focus blur. So this is how it went down. I filmed all the unboxing and I was going to go back and set it up in the future. So I screwed up the unboxing because my camera was going nuts. Then, so I had all this horrible footage of me doing the unboxing. Then I got sick right after that. So I had a cold or the flu or something. So I was out essentially, I was dragging ass for a couple of weeks. Then I went back and filmed the tail end of it.
You sound like a student in high school that said the dog peed on my homework, Mike, you know?
It was a nightmare. Okay, so I thought it came out horrible. I had to download like a special program that essentially fixed a lot of that footage because the beginning footage was unusable. You'd be blowing chunks if you watched it for 20 minutes. It was horrible. So I got this
Go ahead.
I got this program. I fixed it. I made a usable video out of it because you can't unbox it twice. So I had to make that footage usable. And then I talked to like 4 different of my brands that I sell. And nobody liked the video. They're like, yeah, it looked a little amateurish. Bizarrely enough, the only people that actually liked the video, which I guess is the only one that really matters, apparently Yamaha saw it. And they're like, oh, yeah, they really liked it. They thought it was good. And I was like, oh, okay. But all the other brands were like, no, yeah, it looked a little amateurish. We didn't really like it. So I thought to myself, oh, boy. The problem with equipment.
Yeah.
The problem with equipment in general versus I've never found a way to properly do it because I cannot, if you sell Riga, and I do sell Riga, I can't go on camera. I'm just using them as an example, or any brand for that matter. I can't go on and be like, yeah, this is shit. I mean, I could, but I'll never carry that brand again. So I have to do it in a way that I can highlight stuff but it's not like a record. I can bash a record. Universal ain't going to stop selling me records. So they don't take it personal. You know what I mean? Where as a product, as a company, they would. But I will say in my defense, I don't sell anything I don't like. I really only just sell the crap that I like, that I want to play around with. But
well, you can definitely showcase and describe the virtues of who would this be for this kind of thing. This is like, of the 3 $1,500 turntables, these are the options. This one has this one has that. I mean, I always think, and I promoted photographers for 36 years, the commercial photography, and I always had to find the key to the different audiences, what works. And sometimes they would photograph things that are really crazy out there, esoteric stuff. I couldn't show that. They could have it on their website, they could have it, but we wouldn't show that because these are commercial artists. This isn't fine art artists. So there is a line of what to show and how much to show as a teaser. I don't know. I don't know your specific thing, but if no one knows you have it, I mean, like, you need
it's really like, it's really bizarre because most people don't. Like, here's Nick. Do you ship? Yes, I haven't been able to crack this. Maybe I need to put it on the front page of the website, but like I'm a Technics dealer, a Yamaha dealer, a Riga dealer, a Dr. Feikart dealer, Cambridge, Ortofon, Audio. I mean, I got 50 brands and we stock a ton of stuff and I ship a ton of stuff, but I've definitely not done a good job of introducing people to that.
Well, when you walk in your store, I mean, if I walk in your store, I've never been there before. I see all the records. What I know that you see, aside from some little stack I see in the back behind you of used gear or whatever that is, what I know.
Okay, so that's all new gear. So there's about 50 pieces of new gear. Like if you look on the new arrival videos off to the side, there's about 50 pieces of new gear. Then down the hallway, I have higher end speakers and setups, and then that leads around to the sound.
Okay. Like, look at this. Okay, I'm gonna be your your therapist.
Let's see it.
Okay, I haven't kicked it. Okay, In Groove, right? There's the In Groove. When I search on Google, it says collection, old vinyl, record store day, Mike's pick, pre-orders, pre-owned, on sale. I don't know anything about gear, about stereo gear.
I don't know if I can control that though. Does it? Because I mean, doesn't Google populate that?
Okay, here's your site though. Okay, here's your site.
Equipment is right next to music.
What is? Here?
Look on the website. Pull it up.
Here's a website.
pull down the draw down on the top. See the phone, it's a little smaller. On the top left, the triple bar, the lines.
Music equipment. Yeah. Okay. But you need it at some point. It should right before you shouldn't have to click through. Okay, this is the brilliance of Steve Jobs. He might have been the biggest, like, bossy whatever, but Apple was so much. I mean, they make more money since he died, but granted that. But the best thing that I remember him saying to his engineers, I don't want anyone to be able to do more than 2 keystrokes, 2 clicks away of doing everything. And these engineers would come to his the new iPhone or the new iTunes, whatever, and it would take 3 things. Remember how microphone, you got to do a key grab and a this and that in Microsoft to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
He just said, go do it, go make it happen. And they did make it happen. And I thought that was brilliant. So you need to show right there before you even click through that you have gear.
So you think I need to somehow make one of those 3
Well,
icons, or
Well, it doesn't have to be the icon, but like there could be. I mean, I have websites for my photography. Mine's website is still up at Masloff.com, and you can see, like, it could say
what about on the
records.
main page? You see how I have records like new arrival. So that's Mike's picks. I've got new arrivals below that.
You could make a block for gear. Make
Yeah,
an
that's what I'm
icon for
thinking.
gear. It could
That's
be
what I should do.
It should be a turntable because that's the easiest. Or, not that turntable looks good. It can be an icon of a turntable. It doesn't have to be a real turntable.
I'm going to do that's coming later tonight when I'm watching
Okay.
TV.
I think that's perfect for a ticket and a steak dinner.
I'll tell you what. I'm not joking. If you
In the
want to come
fall.
out to Phoenix in the fall, I'll pay for your plane ticket.
I'll pay for a hotel.
Pay for and the reason being is I buy everything in the store on Amex. I've got millions and millions of points. I couldn't fly around the world and use all those points.
Great.
So I'll be happy to
Happy Father's Day, Mike.
Yeah, I get you a nice ticket out to Phoenix.
What year you were born in 1984, right?
83.
I could be your father. That's scary.
You actually could, yes.
I first had sex in 74, I think. So.
Yeah. I mean,
that's creepy.
You theoretically could be my grandfather.
Oh, that's even creepier.
Let's see. Do a setup. Yeah, do like a setup DVD. I don't know.
People like looking. I don't really buy gear, but there are certain channels I watch because I like the way they show gear. There's some weird guy who's not very even charismatic in the UK. Has got some store, and he showed a thing of the Naim, the new Riga, the whatever that $12,000, $13,000 Riga. I just loved that I wanted to look at it. That's all. He didn't do it as good as others. Like obviously the guy Andrew and his wife do, like, everything looks spotless. And also I like the guy who's in Berlin, the English guy in Berlin. What's his name? That's the big audio guy. He's more into digital stuff though, for the most part, but he's done excellent things on room treatment. He had these companies outfit his apartment or his house in Lisbon, and the one he has in what's the guy's name? Someone tell me. The British guy who's in Berlin, Darko. Yeah, watch Darko's video. I mean,
I've watched them. It's funny. I actually wasn't going to tell anybody this, but I'm in the process of building a studio to shoot videos in. And how does my audio sound on this, by the way?
Sounds great. It sounds good.
I've got. You should see the apparatuses and the equipment and soundboards and high-end microphones. I'm trying to update it a little bit because of that comment. I want to do more gear videos, but I don't know. I guess it made a little sense when I was all told, you looked amateurish. I could see where they were coming from. For records, it's okay. The vinyl community, the labels are what we do for vinyl, it's pretty accepted. Like, we stand in front of a bunch of records and we show a record. That's pretty okay. But I guess it's established with gear that it needs to be a little bit more.
As Fremer would say, record holder uppers. That's what he calls the VC
Yeah,
people.
the record holder uppers were very established that all we have to do is actually record holder up. And I've got that down. You've got that down. But for gear, I'm putting a studio together, lighting, and that's actually what I was doing this morning, is watching all these channels. Like, this
guy,
type of lighting,
King James
that type of lighting.
King James is absolutely right. You have to do B-roll. I mean, I just shoot on
Exactly.
my camera and you cut in the details. Yeah.
Well, I did a little bit of that on the Yamaha video. It was super small, but I think a combination of the studio I'm working out and the studio, the lighting, the technology, the microphone, which I'm going to go back and listen to this sound. I feel like I probably got pretty killer sound for a live stream, but I hope so.
We could do what whiskeys pair with turntables or speakers, what cocktail pairs well with.
We could do a segment. Yeah, I could feature a
It
product and
could
then we
be
could
like
do the
we could
follow
go
up.
to your favorite steakhouse there, and we could do like. Do you remember? Have you heard of the movie My Dinner with Andre? And all they're doing is sitting for 2 hours talking about shit back and forth. We could just
Mm-mm.
sit around, like we could put a lazy Susan in the middle and have the camera go way around back and forth.
Well, I think I'll have my studio set up by then.
Okay.
It'd be
I
very
just like coming
fancy.
up with shit ass ideas because I love. I'm an idea man. That's why I want to get someone to pay me to do ideas now, since I'm kind of retired from my business. I'd like
But
to.
you know what? You're doing it for me right now for free. So
No, but I actually for years I would review portfolios for photographers, sometimes for free. I would consult with them for pay.
yeah,
People who want to be a commercial photographer, review their books, talk about marketing plans and stuff. I mean, knowledge is valuable. It's still a lot cheaper paying someone like me or you about consulting than paying for fucking university these days. For certain,
ain't
don't
that the
pay
case?
for art school, and don't take loans out for art school. That's my advice to young people. You'll get
Free
screwed.
advice.
Well, that's a free advice, yeah. But
So a degree in art is not where it's at.
well, it depends. I don't think so. These students are coming out with $100,000 to be a photographer, and there's no jobs in that. There's things you can do in tech. Everything's going to be is more. Even my business is not what it would have been at the last few years because of AI. Because everyone is a fucking photographer because of things like this now.
Yeah.
Where it was a mystery when you had to go to the dark room, you had to develop film, you have to print it, you have to do lighting. Well, we'll fix it in Photoshop. Okay, nothing wrong with Photoshop. And then they could just shoot everything and make it up and take 8 different photographs and make it into one thing. Yeah, Wax knows his shit too. He teaches. We Wax and I overlap what we teach, different subjects, but there's a lot of the same business applications. And a lot of artists don't want to take fucking business classes. They think it's a waste, but they need to take that more than just you can go out and take pictures and learn exposures and just do it and take some classes in photography or filmmaking. Or now you can learn on YouTube now.
It is quite amazing what's capable with what you're capable of doing photography and filming wise with the iPhone. It has really put a lot of power in people's hands.
Yeah, I
It
don't
is
use,
nuts.
I've debated because I remember, whatever you say about Michael 45, his videos are beautiful looking. He's got a nice high end, like I don't know if he has a Sony or a Canon, whatever he has now. I don't know. They look great. His lighting is great. His room setup is great. He's got a nice aesthetic. And
Mm-hmm.
talking to maybe a $6,000 camera, you don't have to get that much, but a nice camera would be more. That's where I get lazy. I don't want to have to do that, download the thing, edit the thing. I shoot on my iPhone 16 or 15, whatever the last
So you
iPhone
film
is.
everything on the iPhone.
I don't have a separate mic yet. I probably should, but I don't. I just do this. I edit it in iMovie on the iPhone. I don't use any special things, and that's it.
It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's about content. If you have good and that's the thing. You get people to come up here. It's,
Come on. It's the best part of the VC. It truly is. Not all trolls are bad. Some of them provide hours of entertainment.
Dankeschön, Michael. That's not Michael. That's
I
not
know,
Michael.
but it's hilarious.
It's good. It's a good. I wish Michael was that funny. That's the thing.
He might be actually though in
He
German.
might be in German. Actually,
Yeah.
seriously,
The
I think
humor.
some
I've
of the
learned one
nuances.
thing: the humor is so lost between Germans and Americans.
Because Thor. I like Thor. Thor's a good
Mhm.
guy. That he's a heavy metal guy.
Yeah.
And he even says it. He gets it now more. But a lot of our shit ass American colloquialisms, comments, or snarkiness. It goes
Yes.
right like over.
And it
And
agitates him. Like I've been joking
oh,
around with him in
totally.
the past, and the joke is lost. It goes straight to agitation.
Yeah. And I understand that. I kind of, I like to do snarky shit ass stuff. And, to me, it's like, tongue in cheek stuff. And sometimes they overthink it. They think you're too serious. But, if you're going to watch these videos, you might as well sort of make them entertaining. I mean, that's why we all like watching you and your wife. You guys are sitting here and you have those little argument fests, or that little debate, I'll call it up,
Yeah,
it's,
debate.
it's fun. Everyone loves that shit. And she calls you on your shit and you sit there like, okay, whatever, buy another purse, whatever the thing is,
Yeah, take it.
Yeah. No, but
Yeah.
it's genuine. That's what we like about it.
Our humor goes over well here, Canadians, and I think the British. Short of that, it doesn't seem to translate well with a lot of European countries.
Yeah.
I noticed
I
that a lot
really
when I was in
I really
the
align with
Netherlands.
British humor, and some of my humor is dry like that, and I
Yes.
appreciate British humor. Some of the Brits don't get it. They think,
I think most of the Brits get the dry, snarky humor, though.
I think so. For
Yeah.
a while, they would like dump on me they said, how can, it's weird hearing an American say wanker all the time. But I first went to England in 1978, before you were born. And I started
Mm-hmm.
selling wankers. I've been saying wanker for 45 years or something.
So they thought of it more of as like you're culturally appropriating the term, or
Yeah, I think they don't usually hear it here,
that's good.
And then
It's like
Vinyl Richie says he's the one who told me how to use wanker, which is not true, because before I even did this for decades, I just think it's a great tosser, and wanker are great.
even if he's the one who kind of turned you onto it, you've kind of made it famous with the
Oh, he
Clapton
didn't.
video.
He didn't turn. I mean, I've known Vinyl Richie for what, 4 years, maybe.
Either way, you branded it, kind of like Henry Ford branded the car.
I will.
You
If Vinyl
branded,
Richie, if you're watching, I owe everything else to you, Vinyl Richie. So
just not that.
not that
You
exactly.
branded it in the VC.
And whack-a-mole, I didn't invent the term whack-a-mole, but I took whack-a-mole. I didn't invent random pulls, but I put it together. And
Well, the
now
random pulls are really just, what are they? What'd they call it before whack-a-mole?
I don't
5
know.
corners? 4 corners?
No, we did 4 corners with Michael. That was our
Yeah, but
thing.
what was the 4 squares, 5 squares? There's a term for it. I used to see it 10 years ago, people doing
Okay.
it.
I don't know. See?
I forget what the hell it was
But
called.
you know what it is? It's kind of like, okay, I go back to Steve Jobs because I admire Steve Jobs as much as he could be a wanker, but he was a brilliant genius wanker. He didn't do the first MP3 player. Remember, there was that company, I forgot what it was called, not Logitech, but the first MP3 players. Remember when they first came out?
They were awful. They were like
iRiver, is that right? I think they're
I
called
forget
iRiver.
the name of it, but I remember I worked at Circuit City at the time when they were coming out, and most of them were like armbands for joggers.
Right. But
Yeah.
he waited and he perfected it. He didn't invent music downloading. Remember the whole, Napster, and everyone was stealing shit. The record companies blew that by not embracing Napster and saying, hey, we want to be a part of this. Let's figure out how to do it. Steve Jobs figured out how record companies could sell music and download music for at $1 a crack, with just having servers. So he wasn't the first, but he made it the best. Now, some may argue they don't like Mac, it's too expensive. But I tell you, the operating systems on a Mac, I still will beat any, Macintosh, or not Macintosh, Microsoft thing, Windows.
So what you're saying is you're the Steve Jobs
of the VC.
wankers, of the VC wanker.
I am the Steve Jobs. Some troll's going to take this and make a video, and you're going to see the next 2 days a video of me talking about I'm the Steve Jobs of the vinyl community. Hey, it could be a lot worse.
Somebody's got to be the Steve Jobs of the vinyl community.
I wish I had his technical ability, but yeah. But I totally admire the guy, man. I remember, this is one of my biggest mistakes. We were in our office. I guess it was 1997. It was just before the iMac. Remember when he came back to Apple,
Yeah.
and the round egg-shaped iMac came out, and that changed things? Apple was in the dust. I bought $3,000 of Apple stock for $10 a share.
I got a story about that, I'll tell you. But go
And
ahead.
of course, I sold it at $5,000 $10,000 a share. I mean, $10 total, but it would have been worth a shitload.
So right when I moved out here, I want to say it was like 2001. I just had started getting into the stock market, started buying and investing in stocks. And I used to watch Fox News had a Sunday show, like Sunday, I forget what the name of it. It was a stock. It was before they had like a business. It was, you'd watch CNBC during the week, and then the weekend show, like they would also have their weekend shows. And I forget what the name of it was. And I remember I was watching it. I think David Asmin was the guy who ran that show at the time. And they would get all money guys on there and they would talk about stocks. And I remember one guy came on and was like, Apple, it's been really repressed. And I think you should buy into this. And I'm like, and I was listening to it. I did a little research on my own. And anyways, I bought maybe $3,000 worth of Apple stock. And I think it was like $2 or $4 a share.
Oh, wow.
Many splits ago. Many
It was
splits
like
ago.
$9 or $10.
And I had it for a while and it kind of stayed plat. I mean, it didn't do much. And I never forgot the plasma televisions came out at the time. And I remember walking into the store and I saw a Hitachi plasma, like a 40-inch plasma TV. And I just thought, like, man, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, I can get rid of that big giant box. I can get this beautiful 41-inch flat screen plasma TV. My life is going to change. So I sold my Apple stock to pay my Amex bill. I think I was 18, 19 years old. I sold, because I put it on my Amex. I sold my Apple stock. And I did, about a few years ago, I found the old trade confirmation for it. And I went back and I did all this reverse stock splits. And I think it was somewhere around $500,000 worth of stock.
Oh, yeah, easy.
Today.
At least. I bet you it was more than that, maybe. It could have been.
And the sad thing is that damn TV, it blew a pixel. The pixel started going bad and blowing out after about a year. And I ended up throwing it away. But yeah, that was quite a mistake.
Oh, God.
Come on, Nick. You'd be crying too. It wasn't that long ago. Yeah. Could have bought another couple pairs of Wilsons. Well, I think I'm going to end this live stream.
Yeah. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. I'm thinking I'm going to do some more of these types of streams with some other people in the future.
Yeah, it takes a little of the intensity off.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other reasons, and I'll kind of talk about those in a future video. But yeah,
John Bandy, I think he missed our conversation of Black Sabbath. He has a difference of that of Black Sabbath, but that's what makes the world go round. I don't care. I got banned from that thread, so I can't.
Now, can you?
I went after that guy.
Are you timed out, or are you permanently
No, I
banned?
think it's for good. Only that one thread. And thing is, I totally deserved it. I even said when I made there was this guy, I don't know what's his name, Bandy. If is it 247, 427? I think he's a bit of a wanker. And he, after a while, first started going after YouTubers, which I'm not going to defend all YouTubers, but then he went after me, like getting free things. You can't trust these people. When they get something free, don't even, and if you believe that's fine. But the way he did it, and he got really personal with me and mentioned me and said it was bullshit. 247. Thank you. And after a while, it was building up and I just lost it. I think I said, I called him like you stupid idiot shithead thing. And I wrote to the Gorts are the people, the monitors. I wrote Gorts. I know I'm going to be banned from or timed out from this video. I expected, but it was worth it. And then I remember the next morning, I was of course banned from it. But I don't know, I haven't looked back, but for about a week, that comment was still up. Usually they'd take it down. So
have you thought about emailing them and being like, do you know who I am?
I don't want to be it anymore. Yeah. Do you know who I am? No.
Do you know who I am? You can't do this to me.
I can read it. I just don't, but I don't need to comment there. It's fine. It's only on the Rhino Hi-Fi thread. So it's fine. I deserved it. I'm guilty. So I'll take it. Take it like a man.
Take it like a man. All right.
Right.
Until next time.
CDs.
Oh, good
This
box
goes
set.
for some bucks.